You are listening to Movies, Monsters, and Music.
Watching it, I really think that Chuck really has a real bad drug problem. I'm telling you, man. All the gambling, the smoking stogies. Who knows what else he was doing behind the curtains? He was a mobster back in the day.
Are you talking about Chuck from Angry Birds?
Chuck E. Cheese.
Oh, that guy? I mean, Charles?
I fuck up his name every time.
Charles Entertainment Cheese?
Yeah.
The New Jersey rat that smoked stogies? It
Mhm.
flies Confederate flags?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, we don't talk about that.
Imagine getting bought out by your worst enemy.
Okay, they're not the worst enemy. In fact, Showbiz Pizza was the greatest ally because they swooped in like the Eagles in Mordor and saved Charles from bankruptcy, which they have filed many times since because Showbiz that bought them out, the greatest competitor, bought them and then proceeded to file bankruptcy not too long after. But the real kicker is, despite Charles filing for bankruptcy, all that money laundering finally caught up to the guy. This is what happens. Showbiz realized that their own intellectual property, with all their animatronics, all of them combined, weren't as popular as the New Jersey Rat.
Oh, what's Showbiz's guy?
The
What's his?
fucking bear?
Yeah, what's his name?
Fozzie?
That can't be Fozzie.
Fozzie Fuckbear? We're gonna call him Fozzie Fuckbear for the duration of this point. Okay?
Okay.
So Fozzie Fuckbear buys out Charles Entertainment Cheese and realizes that Charlie is far more profitable than
Yep.
their own brand of properties. So they just cancel out all their Showbiz just completely cancels out all their other intellectual properties. It just focuses on Charlie. Now, something that kind of bothers me is a Charlie Cheese fanatic. As a Charlie Cheese fanatic myself, I can't help but feel like he didn't need this extra roster. It's like, I don't think Batman needs the Hunters. I don't think he needs Robin. Fuck all those guys. He works alone. Charlie works alone. He doesn't need that Birdie ripoff, that Grimace ripoff.
Mr. Munch? You don't like Mr. Munch?
No, I don't give two shits about Mr. Munch. He's a Grimace ripoff. They're trying to imitate what McDonaldland did. Now, McDonaldland is a masterpiece in advertising. I look to that for inspiration when it comes to advertising and marketing of your intellectual properties. Just chef's kiss. But you know what?
Rock and roll McDonald's.
It's so good. No one talks about the Fry Guys. No one talks, and we're going to be talking about something else that sounds similar to Fry Guys and is not, and not as happy or as fun. But you got the talking trash bins. They just glue on these googly eyes, and boom, you got yourself a recognizable, marketable character. Shove that in the face of children, they're gonna buy your food.
Uncle McGrimace.
Oh, Grimacy.
Grimacy.
Oh, Grimacy. He's Irish, Grimace. He's a different character. He's green and he's Irish and he's drunk all the time. He's a new character.
He puts whiskey in his Shamrock shakes.
I really do think that's just Grimace on a bad day. It's the same guy, but this is when he has his alcoholic fits. He's like, see, I can't be persecuted by the law because I'm a different person. And then when they go to find who Grimacy really is, there's no information on him. The IRS has nothing on the guy. He's on the run to this day. Conspiracy Corner.
Welcome back. It has been a while.
Yeah, unfortunately for you, I am your host, Chandler Allen Berry, and with me is my very confident and capable business partner.
Slug.
Yeah, that's his name. Don't wear it out. And now, guys, if you hear clapping, that's not my ass cheeks. It is pouring outside. At least it was. So there's a lot of thunder and a lot of lightning. I think it's the first time we've recorded this show with weather. Did you put in the cheat code into the server?
No, I went down to the local church to get the weather right.
That makes sense. Thank you. Yeah, so if you hear some background noise, realize that we're not professionals. We do not have soundproofing on the walls. I refuse to spend money on that. Weather is part of our world. I want it included in the show. I don't give two shits about your safety or your comfort. What are we talking about?
Well, first we're gonna get back to basics. Give everybody an update. What's going on? Where we've been? What's been going on? As my new phone is bugging out. Give me a second. And not just a new phone. A good starting place is I got a new apartment. I just moved out. We that video of our boy giving a government service announcement was filming during my moving. But we're in a new apartment. It's a lot better. It's a lot more clean, and it's a definitely better living situation
For now.
for now.
Just wait till I come over. I'll christen it for you. Wear it in. Especially that toilet of yours. It's looking too clean.
Where we should start. What happened after we recorded the Hobbit episode?
Like in a real world sense, no facade, no characters.
Yeah,
Um,
we're not afraid to be transparent.
No, life happened, as
Yeah.
it oftentimes does. It got in the way, and this is a perfect starting point, I think, for what we're going to be talking about next. Men's mental health is very important, and funnily enough, I got hit with a bout of depression in June. Hit me like a motherfucker, but I got back up, and here we are today. But a few more things happened in the way, so I got better, got over it, and I was like, okay, I'm ready to start the show. And I was just like re-energized. Right after you get over depression, you're like, well, when you're depressed, it's like you need to go out and do stuff. You need to socialize, be with people. And at the time, a lot of the people in my life were busy. Not too busy for me, but in the sense that, people are working second jobs. People are in the process of moving. So it's like, okay, well, let me just take a little bit more time for myself, work on the projects I have, and I was just ready to go. So actually, I have a back catalog of a lot of stuff I've personally been working on, and that me and Slug have been working on together, or will be working on together. So it's like stuff is happening behind the scenes. It's just not happening at the pace I would like it to, but we're back. Just like the Aerosmith song, we are back in the saddle again.
We're back in black.
Okay, I mean, yeah,
That's a better one.
I'm sorry. I should have gone with that.
Okay, we can get this out of the way. Don't be afraid to say AC/DC is better than Aerosmith.
I thought you were going to say, don't be afraid to talk about men's mental health. But sure, let's go with that one. That's, you know what? Yeah.
AC/DC will always be better than Aerosmith. I'm sorry.
I can't disagree or agree with you because I love them both, and I don't think I've ever tried to quantify that love. I don't think I've ever put like a yardstick up to it and been like, other than my own man parts, I don't know if I've ever measured anything together like that to see if I like it more. I don't think I've ever have. I like them both equally, personally. Now, the real question is, what lead singer of AC/DC are you more of a fan of?
The first one.
Bon?
Yeah.
Bon Scott?
Yeah. R.I.P. As I'm drinking.
This is what he would want. Just like every
That
time
wasn't.
I know.
I know. Oh, over the time, our dear Willow has gotten better at drumming. We were playing Thunderstruck over at my guitar player's house.
When was this?
Yeah, she was playing the yeah, it's
That's the song.
yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, and she was doing the drums for it while Chris. I mean, I do a little bit of it, but I was just waiting. I just wanted to see how far she could go into the song and playing it and stuff before I tried. And Chris was trying to try to remember the I think it's arpeggios that Malcolm is doing.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know what that reminds me of?
What?
You know those AI pictures where like you take a snapshot of something, but then with this AI technology, don't worry, I'm not going on strike over this. But this AI technology, you take a picture and it will like create an image around it. There's like this infinite zoom where the AI fills in that space because it knows how to continue the picture. Are you like that, Willow? Where even if you don't know the precise beats to play or the timing necessarily, it's like you understand that this is the picture that you have and you can continue it even without guidance.
I think so.
You're at that point?
I've always been at that point. When I just hear a beat, it takes me a second to really like listen figure it out. And the second that I have it, it's just go time.
I just showed her GarageBand on her phone. She's gonna be playing a lot more drums on her phone.
I mean, GarageBand is like helpful, yes, but the second that like I have like an electric drum kit to start off, and like that's good. That's gonna be great practice until I can finally get an acoustic to where we can actually play it, and not like in an apartment, but in a house. It's over. It's like over for all you guys. Y'all ain't ready for that, Willow. That's a completely different Willow. You guys are not ready.
Chandler plays guitar. Willow plays drums. Slug plays bass.
There you go. Move aside, Charles Entertainment Cheese. There's a new band in town.
Can we be the new Kiss?
Okay, now that's a whole.
Okay, no. What we can't do is whatever we do, we can cover Teenage Bottle Rockets "Bigger Than Kiss."
You don't want to cover a Living Tombstone song for the FNAF movie?
Yeah.
I don't know anything about electronic music. I don't know anything about that.
It's, I think, with the drums and the bass, you can figure it out. But in terms of contrive what is going to be guitar if it doesn't already have guitar, because a lot of the time they lean towards what the synths or the piano, or most times both, are, and then they contrive the notes that they are playing to what it would be on guitar. Essentially, like obviously there's the piano is the entire range, and the guitar is only so much. You know, in terms of all the music that's out there, like in terms of each individual note in existence is on that piano. It's wild to think about. What?
Can we do a cover of a Minecraft song?
Yeah.
My diamonds. That one. Okay, that one sucks.
I know. I like it.
I'm joking. I'm joking.
With the parody music video with Butters, or not Butters, Button and Sweetie Belle.
Want to do it in my butt? In my butt?
That's not.
Do it in my butt? In my butt? Okay.
That would be fun, yeah. But there's
do an acapella of that.
I don't know how. I really don't know why, but I just absolutely love Europop so much.
And that's where you and me draw the line.
Oh my god! Like, I mean, I give a more broader term, or at least when I say Europop, I just more of a broader term, like 80s and like early 90s pop music, electronic pop music, that kind of stuff. Like Captain, was it Captain Jack? Yeah, Captain Jack. You got the guys that did the I'm Blue song. Those kind of songs, or even Boom Boom Boom.
Was it Eiffel 77?
Yeah, yeah. Um, it only reminded me of this because in the car, the Aqua song came on, and I had so much fun listening to it. I don't know what it is. Europop is just so fun, but this particular song we were listening to was Barbie, if you couldn't tell. And Chandler, there's a new movie out called Barbie.
No shit. Matter of fact, I think we saw it.
I saw it twice.
I saw its double feature twice. I can't wait till both come out on stream. What a time to be alive.
Oh my god. So we were there for, what did they call it?
Barbenheimer.
We
were there on the ground reporting live.
Yeah, we got you that exclusive scoop.
This is us just elaborating on our experience. So guys, if you're unfamiliar, which you must be fucking Patrick Star, live under a rock, Barbenheimer is the new trend that is going to save Hollywood. While everyone else is out there striking because of advancements in AI, real filmmaking is taking place. And I got to be real with you. I mean, we're going to like really dive deep in this, but I'll say, after having seen Barbie right before we went to go see Oppenheimer, immediately after that, we had to get dressed in between. But essentially, it's like from one movie to the next. It was one cohesive experience. I was concerned that I was going to like Barbie more than Oppenheimer. That's how good it was.
I went into it thinking that I was going to like with no questions whatsoever, that Oppenheimer was going to be the better film. But leaving the cinema after watching Barbie before going to see Oppenheimer. I was like, this isn't good.
I'm worried.
I'm worried because
I knew, like, and that's what an amazing feeling to see two movies and be like, I don't know if this one's going to be better than the next one. But usually it's, I don't think this movie's going to be good at all. To have a movie be so good and then go into another great film and be like, holy shit. I don't think you compare them. You don't compare them. You don't say one's better than the other. Because at the end of the day, they both fill you with existential dread. And that's going to be the real theme of this episode, folks. Existential dread. That's what both of these movies fill you with, and I don't think anyone was prepared. This is not a children's film. It's barely a family film. It reaches such heights to explore the dynamic between the genders. It explains both the female psyche and the male psyche and how they have to complement each other in order to coexist. It's one of the most masterful pieces of filmmaking I've seen in years. And then I saw Oppenheimer.
I think, again, I think the critics are really, really fucking stupid.
They're missing the point.
They're like, it's too feminist. And it's like, as a man, leaving the theater after watching Barbie, I felt validated. Yeah,
I felt violated for Oppenheimer. I felt
Oh my God.
for Barbie.
Validated, man.
Barbie scratched a part of our monkey brain that had never been scratched before. I've never felt that understood by a movie targeted to little girls that's not actually targeted to little girls at all.
I mean, they said, at least from what I read, that the Barbie movie was rated PG-13 because they wanted to lean more towards the people who used to play with Barbies, who haven't played with Barbies in years but grew up with Barbie, rather than the current ones who are growing up with Barbie.
That never happens.
Yeah.
With particularly with these companies. You got Hasbro, Mattel, you got all these toy companies. Their main demographic, who's going to be buying the toys? Children. Barbie is the exception. Little girls don't really care about Barbies as much as they did anymore.
Right.
In this movie, to understand that, they could have just been trying to appeal to the next generation of little girls and try to sell to them. Yeah, at the end of the day, this is a piece of capitalism. I know Spider-Punk wouldn't like it very much, but it's a piece of capitalism. But it validates its own existence by being valuable. This is a movie with substance. I came away feeling appreciated and I felt good.
Yeah, I cried.
Okay, now you're just a pussy, but it was good. It was good. Don't get me wrong. I didn't shed no manly tears, but
just the music in it is really, really good. Some of it is just okay because it's a little bit out of our, I guess, music comfort zone. But then the ones that were explicitly fit exactly were really, really good. I'm not the biggest fan of Nicki Minaj, and I haven't listened to enough Ice Spice to give my opinion. But Dua Lipa was on there. Sam Smith's song was pretty good, but personally, I haven't listened to him since his early stuff. Um, Charlie was on there, really good. Lizzo was on there, but we're not. I'm just gonna have the statement that she was on the album.
I'm gonna have to drink some Jack after that.
I did.
My mouth feels gross.
But at least for me, my only statement is that she was on the on the album. But I think Billie Eilish's song is what really if we're gonna pick two songs, it's gonna obviously be I'm Just Ken. But for me, Billie Eilish's song of What Was I Made For is in the scene where the song is first played. Yeah, I mean we both cried. For different reasons. I'm not gonna share your experience unless you want to, but I cried because I understand. There's two feelings I got from it, and I understand the meaning of it was supposed to not just show the beauty of a mother and daughter relationship, but also making memories with your mother, that kind of thing. But for me personally, I got two things. it made me reflect on how before I was like 12 or 13 to when I would say, what would you say, about 19, 20 is when I
If they went
feel
downhill,
no for when my relationship with my dad got better. 1920 is
yeah,
probably what it
right when you
is.
started like being on your own.
Yeah. It made me reflect on a time when we had a really, really good relationship. I mean, right now it's the best it's ever been, and I'm very happy. And through the good and the bad, obviously, I appreciate my father and what he's done for me. But we had a better relationship because I couldn't think for myself. And I think it's a good metaphor. Kids are a good metaphor in this particular sense to describe it like a Barbie. The parents dress the kids, they dress their hair, they do everything they choose what you wear. Maybe you'll be like, I like dinosaurs, but they're still gonna choose what you wear, you know? And you have a good relationship with your parent because you can't really think for yourself. You can't have any possibility of having a conflicting idea on something. And it made me reflect not only on that time and the good and the bad, and then how my relationship is with him now. I mean, obviously, I understand that it was for women, the mother and daughter
It
situation,
transcends that.
but that and just the beauty of life. Like this is how beautiful you think this particular transition is. It's just one fat piece of what life is and what the life's beauty has for everybody. And I don't think it's supposed to support the traditional idea of women having kids or anything because it's really how the movie plays out. It's you don't have to just be one thing and it doesn't have to be the traditional thing or not. Like you can be a doctor or you can be a mom or you can be both. Your life is what you make of it. But so with that message moving forward into this scene, it's not just women should be traditional and have kids or you're going to miss out on this experience. It's more so this is a taste of what life's beauty is. This is one instance of it. It's mother and daughter relationship, but you can get so much more out of life than just that. If
Don't be offended when I say this. That might be the most beautiful poetic thing you've ever said on this show. Pour off of it. Wholeheartedly agree.
yeah.
It's the most anti-woke movie.
Yeah, if we're gonna use that terminology on the
I
show.
don't like using that term,
No.
but I also think it sums it up. Because people are like, that's too feminist. Why? Because it says women can be whoever they want, and I love that it celebrates traditionalism too.
Mhm.
It doesn't take a stance either way. You are free to decide for yourself.
And then I think that obviously it's satire, but I think for men who are like Ken's in the One Allen in Barbie Land, you don't have any experience with independency, being important, being a
Oh my
valid
goodness.
member of society, because all the jobs that really mean anything are exclusively the Barbies. And obviously that's not a bad thing, but in the sense of having a more happy community because it's it shows perfectly on Ryan Gosling's Ken that he feels like he just needed validation in his life. He didn't like in his head he might have just envisioned that his validation only exclusively comes from is it Margot Robbie?
Margot Robbie.
Mark
Yes.
I still I that her first name really throws me off.
Just like Oppenheimer actor's name also throws you off a little
Hmm.
bit to him.
Yeah, but I really don't see because it's a kids movie and it's supposed to be funny, but it makes sense that Ken would immediately gravitate to uh patriarchy. That's what it's called.
And he didn't understand patriarchy. He thought that just meant riding horses all day.
Mm-hmm. That's such a good joke. That's probably my
Wait, once
favorite
he
joke.
realized patriarchy wasn't just riding horses all day, that he's like, I didn't want anything to do with it, but I'm too deep now. I'm
Right,
too balls deep in this. I can't just back out now.
right. And I really think it just shows not only not in a bad way, because I think all men can agree this. We're very simple. We're very right to the point. We know exactly what we want when we want it, and we know how to fix an issue in a way where we will find the answer. We're not gonna just immediately try to find help, because in the idea of the patriarchy, men are, or at least from Ryan Gosling's, what is it called, the Casa House, the Mojo,
Mojo Dojo Casa House,
yeah,
otherwise
Mojo.
known as the biggest frat party on the planet.
Exactly. I mean, like on bare bones, that's what we like. We like beer. We like partying for the most part. Like at least having good time with the homies and the
Mhm.
bros. We like sports. I think at least every man can relate to at least liking some kind of sport. Like personally, I don't really watch or even care about NASCAR, but I know enough about it to have a conversation about it. And just like with the other sports that I enjoy, there are some that I like more than others. But I mean, it would go into a long story of how I found the short video, but it was the one I was telling you about. It's how men and women are different because if I didn't know your birthday, it wouldn't have been the end of the world.
Right.
I mean, obviously that's an exaggeration, but to really sum it up, he ends the video with saying, as long as he likes football, I don't really care. That's all we need.
It's that Renaissance man syndrome that I just created right now. This need to be knowledgeable on things because as a man we are looked to, and it's crazy we're discussing this for the fucking Barbie movie, but the fact that we feel the need to be knowledgeable on most topics so we can be useful. We have to be useful, otherwise why are we here? What's our strength if we can't use it? What's our intelligence if we can't use it? Then what are we here for? It was crazy to me that this movie just figures out so well and understands so well is that we are very simple, but we add on these layers of complexity, just like how women add layers of complexity to their lives, just either to impress other people or to feel validated. It goes both ways. So for you and me, we come out of the movie feeling represented, but women feel represented too. It's like, yeah, I feel like I have to fit a role. I have to be important.
I had to ask Willow what solioid or whatever the joke they were making out in the movie was, 'cause I didn't know what that was.
Like,
Yeah, cellulite. Yeah, I didn't know what that was.
Might as well be plutonium for all I know. I don't know what the hell it is. You make a bomb. I don't know. I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, all in all, but well, before more in the actual plot, because I'd like to talk about it. But in terms of staying on this ride of feeling validated, I'm Just Ken is just such an everyman song. And that's the best way to describe it. Is because it's like, yeah, there's personalized lyrics to fit this particular Ken, but I'm sure every man can put themselves in a perspective of I just want to feel validated.
I want to say this about his performance. I didn't. When I went to this movie, I didn't know that Ryan Gosling had a band.
I actually have a song saved from his band. Was it the Dead Man's Bones?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
had no idea. Like for instance, I didn't know Keanu Reeves plays bass.
I knew that for a while.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that. And then when you find it out, it's like I have a newfound appreciation because you're not just some one note actor who shows up for a paycheck, phones it in, and like all you do is you just do movies. No, you're an artist.
Jason Momoa plays bass too.
Yeah,
I've
I did
noticed
know
that a
that.
lot of actors like playing bass. Because,
Yeah.
because I mean, Johnny Depp is a guitar player, but he also plays bass.
You're there to enhance the project you're working on.
Oh, that's such a good metaphor. Thank you.
You're there to enhance the project. Some people they like just being the face and being super loud. And for instance, Dwayne the Rock Johnson. Do I like the guy? Absolutely. I think he's a terrible actor because he shows up. He's you see his big beautiful face on the poster, and he's the main character throughout the entire film, and he's just Dwayne the Rock Johnson. He's the same guy. But here's the funny part about that, because I think Ryan Gosling's a great actor, despite the fact I think he plays variations of the same character.
Driver, Blade Runner, and his performance as Ken and Ben are the same character.
It's the same, but like different shades, different colors. But something that just amazes me is that he's actually singing. That's really him, and he's kept the voice of a fucking cherub.
Dude, I don't. What is it? Nickelback or Creed that they sing? I don't even like those bands. Like, cause there's too much mediocrity for me personally. Cause it's like like the song structures are fine, the rock tunes are decent at best for me, but hey, I like Ryan Gosling's cover of Push. I'm sorry, I think it's better than the original.
I personally can't say anything about Nickelback when I'm in the band Southern Casket. So I'm not going to talk about other people's musical abilities when my own has been put into question.
Oh my god, you guys should do a cover of The Devil Went Down to Georgia.
I need a fiddle.
Oh my god.
I'm going
You
to
could
invest in the fiddle.
you get a viola. You can get your viola and you can play
My
it.
mom pawned it.
She pawned your viola?
She pawned my own viola.
I will get a community fiddle for all of us. I'm sorry, it's not a viola.
I might still my
Okay.
I mean, what is it other than keys and everything? Because it's a longer fretboard.
I mean, yeah, it's
That's
longer
about
and it's
it.
keys, but like it shouldn't be too hard to like figure it out. So.
No, and that's the fun thing about music, and I'll get back to more music talking about I'm Just Ken, but from what I've learned about playing multiple instruments is as soon as you get a grasp of one instrument, it gets progressively easier to play more instruments and how to craft. I mean, personally, I don't know a lot of keys, but I can figure out if I'm playing this note, what is in within that key because I was telling you the other night, I know a range like so for each key there's a range of notes that are in that key and I can work through probability of what the note should be. Like I play the next note that doesn't work and it slowly moves down the probability of it of finding it.
This is a really weird comparison, but personally, I see it as like landscaping. And as a former landscaper, I view a lot through that lens. So everything is a garden you have to tend to. Now, if you focus on, just say you plant perennials, that's all you plant. You plant the same kind of perennial in the same spot, in the same climate. You won't really get better in your craft as a landscaper or a gardener because you're just doing the same thing. However, if you were to get another kind of plant that's similar and can thrive in the same kind of environment, without even touching that plant, without having taken care of it and planted it, you already know the steps to move in advance.
Mm-hmm.
And soon you can be doing more advanced kind of landscaping just because you start off with something simple. You already have the tools necessary and the know-how to progress, whether you know it or not. That's true for instruments. You can play a fucking harmonica and learn how notes work. And now you already can advance to the next thing. You can constantly advance.
I mean, I'm not doing it traditionally at all because I'm not even playing it with the hook or claw. But I'm noticing that I can craft riffs on the banjo. I think it's improper to call them riffs, but I don't know any other terminology because I'm so natural just calling everything a riff. Like I describe the harmonica parts as a riff.
It paints the picture that you need to know. You're
Yeah,
conveying your point.
right. I don't know. I feel like I'm progressively working towards actually playing the banjo. I mean, I think anybody, if you have any ability to craft notes in a particular way to sound good, you can do it on any instrument. You just need to take the time to know how it sounds, and then it
Experimentation.
clicks. Yeah,
It's all about experimentation. If you just do it, you will get better. It's like you will fail 100 times, 1,000 times, and you will be discouraged. But if you just keep going, there's people who play their entire life,
Mhm.
and they're not Geezer Butler, or, they're not Charlie Daniels,
trying to be Geezer Butler.
and those people didn't practice every day. And you may say, well, there's other things I care about. There's other hobbies, other things I'm interested in. If you focus on just a handful of those a day, devote 30 minutes to an hour to them, you'll become good enough to make your own self happy. And at the end of the day, if you feel comfortable with your own ability and you make your own self happy with what you're producing, that's all that matters. If you can be just decent at something, a few things that you care about, you'll be happy.
The greatest lesson, at least I've heard. I forget who quoted it, but there's no better lesson than failure, and it's so simple to where it kind of feels ingenuous calling it a lesson. But at the end of the day, that's how I have improved, is because I think my first short film was shit, but I know exactly what to do for the next one to not make it shit.
You have it encapsulated now for all time for the entire world to see what you did wrong.
Right. Not only am I aware of the faults that I had in that first film, but the world can see it, so I know exactly what, to an extent, what the world is probably thinking. You know?
As long as you're thinking it, someone else is thinking.
Yeah. I mean, we're surprised nobody had Southern Casket as a band name, but
Shocking. Shocking.
there's sometimes you find something people haven't thought about, and then sometimes you think nobody has thought about it, and it never comes up until like what 3 years later,
Mm-hmm.
and somebody on YouTube goes by Slug Bass.
Oh, that was so funny. That was the night we got the couch stuck in the stairway, right?
Yes.
And we had to disassemble it with knives and hammers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because after that we were bushed, we were tired, and just to sit down and realize that there's identity theft going on. Was it like a month apart?
They're 2 months apart.
2 months. So you came up with the Slug McBase name
Or
2 months.
Chris called me Slug, and he called me Slug in July, and he started that YouTube channel in April of the same year. So I'm only going off of the YouTube channel how long, but like even so, like I mean, he might have had it a little bit longer than what the YouTube reflects, but the YouTube reflects that he's got 3 months on me. Period. You know, but I don't know. I with everything, because Slug Base is his handle, and for shits and giggles, my full stage name is Slug McBase. But other than just my name being Slug, and for a solo project, it doesn't. Nobody's gonna be coming up with with what I want to do with that. Like we've talked about it, but I don't want to put it out there just so somebody takes it while we're talking, you know. But I don't think anybody's gonna take it. Like there's probably like a 98% chance nobody's gonna fucking touch
That's
it.
not the point, though.
Yeah, I mean, just
Just
like
up the
we'll
off
get to
chance.
it. We get to it. Oppenheimer says that if it's not less than zero.
It's still a possibility,
Yeah.
which is scary because I don't think there's many things in this world that are like near zero.
Mm-hmm.
So everything's still a chance, and every day is a chance that you take. Uh, but to get back on track with Barbie, I think this whole string of conversation flows quite nicely because I'm going to say this, and I don't say this lightly, and I don't think I've ever said this about anything. Is this my favorite movie? No, not even close.
No.
Do I think this movie is perfect?
Yes.
Yes. Every message, every theme is conveyed perfectly. Now, I think you've already summed up the best possible thoughts on it. I don't think I'm going to even scratch the surface of your points. But I just want to say that I think it's a perfect film. I think everything it says, someone can take something away from it that affects them in a positive way.
And I don't think calling it a perfect movie and having other movies we think are perfect degrades whatever. It's just because there are some doesn't mean it's the norm. You know.
No, this movie is not the norm. It just completely destroys all logic that the fact that it even exists. I'm
Just
shocked. I am still just dumbfounded. I'm gobsmacked how good it was.
yeah, and I saw it twice.
It's still not clicking how this exists.
Yeah, I'm not even like really thinking that it's more so just I already know. that it's a phenomenal movie. That I've already accepted it. You
I'm
know,
not there. I'm like, why? Why is it so damn good?
It makes me really happy seeing like men, especially, really excited and thrilled with the movie because, like, it's not just a movie for women. It's double sided. You know,
Mhm.
it's seen in many different ways from everyone, for women and men. The way that I see it is more of like obviously a mother and daughter relationship. Other women might see it as, oh, like women have to be perfect, like this and that. There's many reasons to it, but it just makes me happy that you guys have such a positive outlook compared to a bunch of other men who have been criticizing it, saying that it was too feminist or this and that, when in reality it wasn't.
They're scared and they're weak.
They are.
The men who go out and tear down LGBTQ flags and go out there and just be menaces because they're scared of themselves. Because it's so easy to just accept things. It's so easy to just say yes. And a lot of men, they put up this wall and they're like, if I allow myself to like if I surround myself with these influences, I'll succumb to it. Then you're weak. If you can't surround yourself with people who think differently and act differently than you, and it's that easy for you to succumb to that kind of temptation or to change your mind, then you're weak.
I also think it's bullshit that there was a select few people that were upset that Dr. Barbie was trans, and you could barely like. It doesn't matter.
Like I
It
could tell, but it didn't affect the story.
no, it had little, not even just little to none. It had nothing to do with the plot.
No. And if it affected this, if they pushed it to the forefront and made it a message, I could see that being divisive. But it's not even a point. It's
They
just
have
inclusion.
40 seconds of screen time.
It's just
40
inclusion.
seconds.
That's it. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And like you can have whatever grievances you want with that kind of lifestyle. And personally, I'm gonna say I think you're valid if you don't like that. That's your opinion, man.
Yeah.
That's your decision to not like something. But personally, if it's just for inclusion's sake, a lot of people complain in Hollywood about pushing agenda, pushing both races and genders into roles they don't belong, which by the way is it's just bullshit.
It's ruined Snow White and Seven Dwarfs.
You call them little people now. Slut. Get with the program.
There was literally a little person on on was it Price? Morgan Price's talk show, the English guy. And there was this chick there asking him, he's just like, well, what would you want to be called? Because Morgan Pierce was like, well, they're dwarves, so why would they have dwarfism, so why would dwarf be a problem? And then the lady asks him, well, what would you want to be called? And he's like, dwarf.
Sums it up. There you go.
Yeah.
I was watching Alf earlier, the episode where he becomes a monk. Don't worry about it. He becomes a monk and he's like the requirements to become a monk are greed, sloth, wrath, and the guy's like, no, those are the seven deadly sins. It's like the seven deadly sins. I thought those were the seven dwarfs. And then Alf's like, wait. We don't call them dwarfs. They're called little people. And it's like that whole string of dialogue is just gold. Alf is funny. Alf is fucking hysterical. Guys, go watch it. It sounds good as Barbie.
Some people might disagree. That's a cherished sitcom, Chandler.
I'm sorry.
Like, I've never
I
seen a
love Alf.
single episode. I don't even know if it's good or bad, but I'm just like, show it some respect.
I'm sorry that I got more substance out of Barbie. No, Alf is legitimately like, really good. It's one of my favorite sitcoms, but it's better than Seinfeld. Anyways,
I guess we're just gonna have to let that slide. We
yeah,
have to continue. It's gonna be a
this is gonna be a
long
problem.
one.
This is gonna be a problem if I say anything about Seinfeld again. God forbid. But at least we can agree on Barbie. Damn.
And I guess to go back to what am I made for? I listened to it again, like at work.
Did you dissect the lyrics?
Yes, I did.
Okay, here we go.
And it's so perfect, not just for the Barbie movie, but just for everybody. Because in the Barbie movie, the context is uh, basically this Barbie has lost what its purpose was, and now it's questioning why it was made, you know? But also, I feel like it could be contributed to anybody's passion. Like, you were so sure that this is something that you've wanted to do and you spent so much time on it, and then you start having second doubts because you're not succeeding.
Yeah, that
So,
I
it,
mean,
it
that's what happened to me with my little bout of depression. I questioned everything I was doing. I didn't see any value or substance to what I was doing, and it made me want to quit. No one was telling me to other than myself. You are your own worst critic. You're your own worst enemy. And we have to accept that we are perfectly imperfect. Even Weird Barbie, I think she's the best. Like, if I had to hold up a poster child for the point I'm making, it'd be her. Because she's a perfect character. I mean, her writing is phenomenal. She serves plot relevance. She's great.
dude, she had a Matrix reference.
My mother didn't get it.
That's pretty sad.
There's a few. There's a few. We watched that movie not even that long ago either. Um,
You rewatched it with her?
like 2 years ago.
What?
The Matrix.
Oh, The Matrix. I
Yeah,
thought you were
yeah, yeah.
watching the Barbie movie with her.
No, no. I rewatched the Matrix like 2 years ago. So like it should still be fresh in her memory. She's never seen the Matrix. So when we were talking about the movie because she did see it with other family members, and I was like, "Did you like the Matrix reference?" And she's like, "What?" There's a few references that were just on point. It's good,
My
good.
boy
Like,
Stanley Kubrick.
dude, I got chills.
It was pretty good.
I mean, no, granted, that's what they used for the trailer. So going in, I already knew the scene because, like, shot for shot, that's exactly what they used for the. Did you see the trailer for the movie?
I didn't watch any trailers.
Did you get the perfect experience because I already saw that scene, but I still get goosebumps. There's two scenes that gave me goosebumps, and it's kind of stupid, the second one, but it leads back into I'm just Ken. The first one being the whole 2001 Space Odyssey, which is perfect. Like that was just awesome, and to use Margot Robbie as like wearing her 1950s swimsuit. She was the first Barbie. That was the first Barbie figurine. I love tying that in, like the actual Barbie lore in the movie.
I also really appreciate in the intro the narrator talks about, yeah, the first dolls were baby dolls, but for an evolving world, there needs to be evolving toys. There's
Mm-hmm.
nothing wrong with being a mother, but there are kids out there who want to do more,
It's the
and there's
first time.
nothing wrong with that.
Now I want to circle back around to that, but I do want to say the second part that gave me goosebumps was I'm calling it the Normandy landing scene. You know,
Oh yeah,
the whole battle with the Kins. I don't know what it just. First off, I love theatrics. I love theater. That was some like meatloaf type shit. I was all about it, on point, so good. But now,
and then it ends with shit. We were supposed to sign like the documents today.
hmm oh, everything about it is perfect. But the circle back around, yeah, like women initially, the reason they had baby doll toys, they weren't for playing. It's for educational purposes. That's what toys really were, was to teach you something. Everything starts off that way. It's an educational, even like you go back in time, everything at its core is trying to teach a lesson.
Everything had a purpose.
Everything. It's all utility. It's all bare bones, what you need to convey something. But as time went on, it's like it still served that purpose, but now an extra layer of complexity to it. So, for instance, let's say GI Joe figure. What is that trying to say? Why would boys want to play for GI Joe?
The enlist.
That's when they came out. Vietnam's happening. Vietnam is happening, but that was before it became embroiled with really all the controversy and all the domestic protests going on and people marching and all the riots. That predated that. So it was like when this war started, you had GI Joe figures because it was exciting. It was this is something that little boys need to be prepared for is war. So you see a lot of war related toys and merchandise being targeted to young boys. Now for girls, traditionally they fit a mother role, but as we hit the 50s and going into the 60s, what's happening? The sexual revolution. Women can vote, women have more power, and the best way to convey this is through the toys. It serves the same purpose. It's teaching a lesson that women can be whatever they want to be through a toy. It's a plastic thing, but when we look at it, our imagination fills in the gaps. And I just think that's beautiful, it's incredible to me.
I think going off of that, it's like, of course, the standard Barbie doll, if it's gonna be a girl, is gonna be a pretty skinny doll. Just like with Ken dolls, it's a because it's a toy, it shouldn't matter. But if we're really gonna dissect it, the Ken doll puts also a higher standard of men's fitness and how men should look. Just as the idea that Barbie is how it's like a woman's peak performance, I guess.
I love that the movie addresses
And I think on another level of addressing it is having the plus size Barbie.
it.
Like
Just inclusion.
doesn't have anything to do with the plot. Doesn't have anything. It just shows that women come in different uh shapes and sizes.
Different packaging.
Yeah, different packaging. It's
That's inclusion done right. That's why I can't say this. It's a progressive movie, but it's not quote unquote woke
no,
in that
it's
sense.
kind of my own ideology on all of the progressive movement and everything. It's kind of like I think we touched on it before that I think I'm more left leaning, but I approach everything very conservatively. Like what the progressive movement thinks is is my version of traditional. I guess to put in layman's terms, in the sense that we just accept each other. There's nothing, there's no trauma, there's no negativity with it. You just accept who they are and you move on. Nobody makes it a big deal. Nobody nobody is quote unquote special. Because this is just how people are. There are people who are trans. There are people who don't even identify as male or female. There are males and females, and there's different kinds of sexualities. But at the end of the day, we're just people. We're human beings, And I really feel like that this is just how some people are. We just need to accept all kinds of people, because if they're not hurting anybody, there's no issues, there's no prejudice or anything. Live and let live.
I was playing with the lighter.
Yeah, it's got a little light up thing on the side of it. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like it conveys that idea of this is just normal. Why is the world, like, even the contrast of going from Barbie Land to the real world? It's like, why isn't the real world like this? It's really like I mean, it's not even asking much of people to begin with, just to think that it's okay. Like, people, not even if it's okay, it's just like this is just how people are. And there's nothing wrong with that, because I can make contrasts of what they identify as compared to how I identify. Because even if we don't even think about whether we're questioning sexuality or gender, we're always thinking about who we are. So why would I take my time and judge other people if I do the same thing to myself? How I see myself. You're always judging yourself.
Well, that's why you judge other people.
Yeah, I know.
You hate what you are. And if you have insecurities and doubts about yourself, you're gonna unknowingly project that onto others. It's like if you're not confident who you are, there's a piece of you that doesn't want someone else to be confident they are. You're jealous of that, you're envious of that, or you just flat out don't like seeing other people happy.
And it goes back into my I'm a idealist rather than a realist.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just like idealist is the ideal thing is that everybody is tolerant of everybody, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who they are or how they are perceived by other people.
Barbie Land thinks it's idealistic. It thinks it's this utopia. But even then, it's not. It doesn't exist. Even in a perfect plastic world like Barbie Land, there's still inequality.
It's fantastic.
It's not fantastic.
No, it's not.
No, because men don't have the power. It's not fantastic. And that's the crazy part about this movie is that yeah, it's targeting women, but like with through the lens of Ken, I don't think I've ever seen the male psyche been dissected and shown off in a way that was so relatable. And I love the inclusion of Alan too, because that's a real figure that no one talks about.
Right.
Because he's not the ideal version like the Ken is. He's got this perfect body. Now, personally, I don't see the body type of the figures mattering that much because it's simply aspirational.
Right.
If you don't fit that mold, that's okay. It's a toy. Use your imagination to be whatever you want it to be. Just because it looks like that. That's why when I played with toys when I was little, I never played with those kind of things. I always played with like you know those like blocks. Those the very rudimentary blocks that didn't really look like anything.
Like Duplo?
Essentially, very very basic. They
I
did.
struggled so hard to find that. You saw that on my face. I was
You
looking.
found it. You found it. I did
I
play
was
with
looking
that.
through the files.
I actually want something funny. So for Christmas one year, I got a. This is the craziest shit because I asked for it. This is what I wanted for Christmas. I asked my family for a bag of this figure from Flushed Away.
Hmm.
It's this mouse. He was like a mob boss. I can't even remember his name.
I saw Flushed Away not too long ago.
Yeah, it's the big rat in the suit, the gold tooth and chain.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
The big cheese.
Big cheese,
Biggie
big
cheese.
cheese.
No,
Not big
that's from back.
Boneyard.
Yeah.
But I wanted this, so my parents ordered me 20 of these figurines from McDonald's, packaged them all up, and this is after the movie's long gone. This came out years ago, and I'm like 10 or 11, and I don't really play with toys, but when I do, I would play with what I called the Rat Man, and I don't mean the urban legend from GTA 4. This was my version of the Rat Man. It was this figure. And when I played with them, it was anything I wanted to be. It could be a spaceship, it could be a soldier, it could be whatever my mind could conjure up in this little plastic toy. Do I see myself as a rat in a suit? Sometimes. Sometimes.
You
But
had me sign paperwork
I,
right before this,
I did have to be a bureaucrat and make you sign official documentation for of the Fox's film, your own company. But
which I am the CEO
that's what the paperwork was declaring.
of.
Was that you have creative, independent control of your own company. But you're also a board member of the company that owns it, so you have special privileges. But I had this little rat toy, and I called him Ratman, and I got 20. I got him off eBay like 5 or 6 years after the movie came out,
Right.
and it was like 20 of them, and I wore through them, man. I broke them all in, destroyed them. I think I lost 20 of them in about 2 years. That's how rough I played with them. I don't kid around. When it's playtime, it's playtime. And I ain't playing around. And I broke them all, but my whole point with that is I did not see myself as the toy. It was whatever I wanted. So when I see people complain that Ken or Barbie is an unreasonable expectation for young boys or girls, yeah, but it's aspirational, and I don't think it's a bad thing to promote health or beauty or strength or typical masculine or feminine qualities. Those are okay. Bless you.
Thank you.
But it's a toy and it can be whatever you want. And I'm glad now in the day and age we live in that yeah, it can now we're showing off. We make toys that do look like other people.
Right.
And for you that might be aspirational. But that doesn't have to be aspirational for anybody else. Asperger's?
Aspirational.
I have to take a piss. Can you pause it real quick?
That's a good time.
Done shaking the snake. So where was I? Oh yeah. So I lied. So let me correct myself. I did in fact play with Barbies, but it was for one explicit purpose.
If if you hadn't said it before, now we know.
Yeah. So let me
Cover
let me
all
s-
bases right
Yeah.
there.
Let me right now. Let me run a home run for you. Cover every single base. There's this chick I liked. I know, it seems like all my motivations are wound up, and damn, there's this girl I like. But it was more sweet, it's more innocent because I was very young. It wasn't like in second grade when I wanted to bang my teacher. I was like straight up like 6 or 7. It was about the move. to Lawrenceville. At the time, I was living roughly kind of where I am now, kind of like right down the street. It was my childhood friend. And like when you grow up with a girl friend, it's I don't know. There's something more wholesome about it. It's not because you don't really think in terms of like sexual gratification. Because of course you don't have concepts like that.
No.
Just I mean I'm lucky to hold her hand, but I really valued her friendship as like her personality. I mean I enjoyed playing around the neighborhood,
I had
and
one of my very first friend was a female.
yeah, I feel like for a lot of boys that's the case because we know we want to be around females, but at the time it's
You
not.
don't know why.
You don't know why yet, and it's not for the same reasons. And so there's something just so wholesome and innocent about it. And even though we ran around the neighborhood building forts or playing imaginary stories, one of her things was she liked Barbies, and so I never engaged with that aspect as a guy because the few as I mentioned previously the few toys I had were all based off my imagination. I didn't need a
Gender
yeah, like I didn't need to buy like a Batman action figure and be like, okay, this is Batman. No, this could be whatever I want.
right.
And I've looked at studies, and it seems like a lot of girls. I don't know how true this is. I get it off the internet. You know how that goes. But they say that girls, when they play with toys, envision the toy as themselves, and they treat it as if it's themselves. So if they're playing with like a Batman figure, they're going to treat the Batman figure like they would treat themselves instead of playing it like Batman. Like boys would treat the figure like the character and not themselves. It's an interesting distinction, and across the board, universally, that seems to be the case. How these two genders play with toys differently, and I don't know. That's fascinating. I don't really know what it says, but it's interesting. However, I didn't really engage with this side with my friend, but because I was about to leave, and I wouldn't see her again until uh, like eighth grade. It turned out I was in middle school with her the whole time, but because we had grown up so much and missed such vital parts of our lives, I didn't get to see her growth spurt. So I didn't even know that was her in high school or in middle school the whole time. And at that time she probably knew who I was and didn't even care because we've been apart for so long. It's like that. There's this disconnect now. I'm a different person. We weren't
Right.
the people we grew up to be. Like when I was growing up with her, we were just different people, and it sucks that all of a sudden you separate those people for a time, and when you come back, it's almost like when you're working a job and you have these coworkers. And I'm speaking mostly for Walmart here because that's mostly where my work career comes from with coworkers. Uh, Dealing with them was like these were friends. These are people I saw every day. It was like a second family.
Hmm.
And then all of a sudden you remove that and you spend some time apart and then you come back in the store and they're still working there, but you don't. And now the relationship's different. These are different people. You've missed vital moments in your life. They've moved on. But for you, it's like you anchor yourself in this time period. You're like, this is a person I care about because I had them in this period of my life and now they're gone. But I didn't forget that. But they moved on. They meet new people. And I don't know why that's the case for some of us that we just these
Move
people still
on.
matter, you know.
Yeah.
And for her, it's like I still I don't think about her like too terribly often, but I think of her and I'm like I had a good time. It was fun, and I hate that we didn't progress with our friendship, and I mean that in a legitimate way. I wanted this person to stay in my life, and it seems like people come and they go, but it'd be nice if some of the old timers stayed behind. Uh, but that last day before I moved, she wanted to play Barbie, and I had a blast. I played it exactly how she wanted to play it. It's just like traditional. Oh, let's bake something in the oven, or I don't even know what the plot line was if there was. Because when you play, you're playing a narrative out. There's a story happening. But at the time, that didn't matter. The experience of I'm not going to see this person probably ever again. This is my last time, so that was a meaningful moment. Even though the Barbie was secondary to the moment, it was still part of it, and because of that, I have fond remembrance.
I I don't have any particular excuse me any particular moment or memory with Barbie. Just the concept of playing with Barbies is just there. because when I played with Barbies, they were just the female characters in whatever narrative I was doing. I would play with GI Joes, dinosaur figures, Batman. I had Superman at one, or no, it was Spider Man. Spider Man, I would intermingle all these toys together, and whether they were playing Spider Man and Batman and Barbie, it would just, or whether they were just different characters. These were male figures, these are female figures, and I make a character for each one. It was
So you do play in the feminine way,
yeah,
where the character is not the character themselves, but whoever you want them to be.
yeah. It was a mix of both, honestly. Because I mean, you can only play so many stories with just Batman because you're like, well, shit, he can't play with Spider Man, he can't play with Barbie, he can't play with these guys.
Did you not know what the concept of the multiverse was at age 4?
No, I was just like Batman is DC and Spider Man is Marvel. Let me set the facts straight.
You cared about canonicity at the age of 4.
I mean, if I had a grasp of what goes with what, I kind of stick with that particular. Batman plays with Scarecrow and the Joker. Spider Man plays with Venom and Carnage. Well, actually, at 4, I didn't know who Carnage was. It was probably like the Vulture for me.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah,
excuse me, the Green Goblin. Let's go with the most basic, the Green Goblin and Venom.
was it that you're saying you had that toy, or is that just
I
speculation?
Speculation. I had a Spider-Man toy that could shoot a plastic web out of its wrist.
I know I had a Jurassic Park set, and a lot of the toys I would include in the park weren't actually part of the set. Like I'd have like the Jeep, I'd have I think there were Lost World figurines I got at some like thrift shop somewhere on the
Oh,
road.
nice.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. It might even be valuable. I have no idea because I've never seen it before or since. There's this little figure, and he came with a net gun. He would shoot and would capture dinosaurs. I had like that stuff. I'd include blocks, and I'd include other toys in the scenery, and I'd create my own Jurassic Park. And like I'd even have the rug sprawled out like it was grass, and I'd feed them. But of course, at the end of the play session, the dinosaurs always got out.
It's inevitable.
They always get out. Even when you're playing and it's just and you're in control, the dinosaurs will get out every damn time.
You just gotta count on it.
But so you only use the women as set dressing.
I mean, you gotta have female characters.
But as a boy, it's like I guess they can come too.
Yeah, I didn't care if I could find a spot for them. They'd play a part, and it would never just be basic like housewife or just female girlfriend. They would be doing shit. They would be a character.
You're a part of the plot.
If they weren't necessary to the plot, they wouldn't be
You do look. You were teaching Hollywood how to do stories
there.
before they even knew who you were. Oh wait, they still don't know who you are.
They
Well,
probably never will know.
we'll rectify that.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
Hollywood doesn't matter. It's all about Atlanta, anyways. Represent GA all day. I don't know. I like talking about the toys. I don't know. It feels like it's something that will never come up again, considering the stuff we talk about. And I like that we can talk about this through the lens of Barbie. I used to play when I actually played with action figures, and it wasn't Ratman or some like amorphous blob that I pretended it could be anything I wanted. I would play in the shower, so it was always a constant like torrential downpour, always raining, and I would use the Scooby game. I don't think I had. No, I had Fred, and the Power Ranger was always there. There was always at least one Power Ranger. He's important to the plot. See, I didn't care about canon because, like, to me, I was like, he can be whatever I want him to be.
This is Italy. I do what I want.
Yeah, I'll do whatever the hell I want. I don't care about canon
Copyright.
or
Fuck out
copyright
of my
infringement.
face.
So I played with there'd be Power Rangers. Fred was there. Daphne. I don't think I had a Velma, but I had a Shaggy. And let me tell you, Fred didn't know what was going on, but Shaggy and Daphne had a little romp going on behind the
Fair.
scenes. Mm-hmm. You got a little spicy behind the scenes. But
Well,
yeah,
Velma wasn't there. Who else was Shaggy gonna shag?
all I'm gonna say is, well, I had Scooby.
No. Just no. We're not.
No, what I mean is, it came with a set. So you had Scooby, you had Scooby Dumb. And then you had Scooby D, which I think is his cousin, right?
Scooby D?
Scooby, you've never seen this?
No.
So you got Scrappy, Scooby Dum, Scooby D. Scooby D's the female, and of course, because it's a female, it's like it's the sexy one. There's always the sexy one. It's a female, so it's gonna have eyelashes and be feminine, which was just weird when you like go back now with that kind of mindset because you're thinking that's a
Oh
cousin.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you're like that's Scooby's cousin, but the way they shoot it, or excuse me, it's not live action, it's a fucking cartoon. The the way they animate it is really odd now. When you go back, 'cause you're like they're cousins, but they keep pushing it like they're attracted to each other. And I get that they're dogs, but like, come on.
Don't put the continuity in there if
so
it's gonna make it weird.
so now it's weird. Anytime I'm butt ass naked in the shower playing with my toys. And I'm like, well, I have this figure I gotta include, but now because of the cartoon, I'm like, now it's weird. Now it's weird. So Shaggy's over here shagging Daphne. I didn't do anything with Fred because I didn't appreciate him at the time. But now I get him. I love traps. Do you love traps?
I love traps.
Damn straight, brother. Damn straight. Well, I'm so glad I could say that in 2023. Thank you, Barbie movie. I can come out now. I love traps. I love Fred. I
I love
love
the fact that if your mom just so happened to walk by, you're just like, I can finally come out.
live on the podcast. I don't know. Like watching the Barbie movie, it was just like my love of toys was reinvigorated. Yeah, it's Barbie. As I set forth already, it's not my end all be all of my toy experience. I did weird shit with my toys, but I don't know. I think if I had to choose like a brand, I guess Transformers.
I had a few Transformers cars, but
Yeah,
I think my favorite one was I had a Peter Jackson King Kong.
they had the scar on it, right?
Yeah,
It was, and
it was like hard plastic, but the arms and legs could move.
they were, yeah, McDonald's.
No, it was like from a set where it was just like not a set, but it's like the big box with the action figure. It was about as big as Jack Daniels bottle.
That's a weird measurement, but sure.
That's tall as a Jack Daniels bottle.
Because you're currently looking at one, so I guess that's your frame of reference. I know, you know what? Now I'm thinking about it, I had the same one, but I don't think it was from McDonald's. I didn't play with a lot of toys, and if I did, they're all McDonald's toys. So I guess that's where that's coming from. Like watching the movie, I feel like I missed out. I feel like I legitimately missed out. I want to play with Barbies. Excuse me, I want to play with Kens because I'm a man. Set the record straight.
I'd have an Allen.
Do you have to just be different? Is this a need to be different? Alan's a loser. What did he do for the plot? Name one thing. He didn't. He didn't drink. He didn't party with them. What did he do? Did he kick 30 guys' asses and prove that he was actually the most badass character in the entire movie? Sure. Okay, that's pretty major.
I didn't even need to say anything. You found the answer yourself.
uh, who played? Was it Michael Cera?
Yeah,
Where did he come from?
super bad.
I mean, yeah. Did you see that interview with
The-
with Jonah Hill? What is super bad? And then Jonah Hill gets all super pissed and walks off. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I haven't seen that one.
I'll have to show you. It's so because like I don't know if you noticed, but like Jonah Hill doesn't do interviews anymore. Now I'm pretty sure this is satirical. It's supposed to be a joke, but at the same time, I don't think he does interviews anymore. And you watch this interview with him in Superbad. The guy's like, "So tell me, what is Superbad?" And Jonah Hill's just pissed. He's like, "Can you stop asking me stupid fucking questions?" Like, I don't know. What is super? Shut up.
I
Shut
know
up.
Jonah Hill hates doing it because every time, like the last thing, it was so bad. It's just like, uh, Jimmy Fallon was surprised that Jonah Hill didn't smell bad. Like there's footage of him saying this. He's like, "Yeah, I just figured you'd smell bad," and Jonah Hill is just kind of like What the fuck?
He's constantly fat shamed in multiple interviews and behind the scenes. There's like fat shaming him. I'm like, he's not even that big.
He's under controversy right now, so.
Oh, I'm unfamiliar with that.
Okay, so apparently his ex-girlfriend, ex-fiance, ex-wife, I'm not too sure. Whoever his partner was leaking texts about him being overly obsessive too, and like texting her and how aggressive he texts her in terms of like, from what I saw, it's more of like overly concerned and overly protective and everything to a detriment of how much like he's obsessed with her. But and then now there's allegations of physical abuse, but I haven't read more into that part of it. From one of the text messages I saw, it's just like, yeah, sometimes you just love somebody a lot, and it can be to your detriment.
Yeah, on the outside it seems bad,
Yeah,
but like we don't know. We really don't know. It's almost like the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard thing. Johnny Depp wasn't a saint in that situation. Did we all root for him and wave our Johnny Depp flags? Sure, we did. Did we cheer for the downfall of Amber Heard? Yeah, we did.
I
But she
think
also
we
shat
cheered.
his bed.
Oh yeah, I think we cheered harder for her downfall than we were cheering Johnny Depp on.
Oh yeah, like I love Johnny Depp. Don't get me wrong, but I hated her more than I loved him. And
I didn't even like before I even read about the shit in the bed. Why I hated her is because I fucking hated her performance in Aquaman.
it wasn't that. She was
It was
hot.
so bad.
Yeah, but she's
So
hot.
no,
You make up for bad acting with your physical attractiveness. That's the Hollywood way.
Amber Heard made. Oh, for all those fuckboys that said that Margot Robbie was mid.
Who said that?
Uh,
Who said that?
there's a
Pause the podcast. Who said that?
You want to find this out? You want to see this?
Yeah, excuse us, guys. We got. I'm going to dox this motherfucker live on the air, all right? So, okay, Mr. Nicholas Varola on Twitter.com, now known as X.
So stupid.
He is a music and nature lover. A bunch of words I don't understand as an American. We dare not forget today that we are the heirs of that first revolution. John F. Kennedy, hashtag Bitcoin. He quotes John F. Kennedy and immediately says hashtag Bitcoin is the way. Fuck this guy. And he wants to say crap about Margot Robbie is mid? Let me tell you what's mid. Fucking
Amber Heard is mid.
I was about to talk bad about cryptocurrency and crypto bros, but let's stay focused. I mean, yeah, fuck cryptocurrency, but mostly fuck Nick. Dox him.
Oh my god, that's so bad. We'll just post it on the podcast. It's with the Instagram page and of his Twitter page, and they all can go like fucking report him.
Well, I love how we'll talk about how much we love this country, we love democracy, and most importantly, free speech. And like, how dare this one guy online say something I just remotely disagree with? Let's dox him, blackmail him.
It's like instead of like, oh, I don't like that you're a fucking fascist. No. You think this actor chick that you'll never meet, neither of us will ever meet, is mid? Or even better yet, a better example is, you don't like my shoes?
Oh, that one instance? Oh my god. Like, those the most minor disagreements. This is why Barbie's important. It shows us the importance of coming together. I mean, fascism is a big part of the plot. Is it? Okay. Oh my god. Okay. So it really is a spectrum. Barbie is representative of fascism, and Oppenheimer is communism.
Okay, don't.
Not yet. We're not getting there just yet. But they both deal with radicalism and existentialism. Am I incorrect in my assumption?
I think it's very apparent that Barbie Land is a fascist country.
Are you filming me right now?
Yes.
I made my point.
Say it.
I'm saying it right to your face. Barbie is about fascism, and Oppenheimer is about communism. Let the facts be known.
Oh, that's fun. That's going on the page.
At what point did you start recording?
You'll find out when I post it.
I'm scared. I went on an Alex Jones like rant, and I'm gonna be real. I kind of black out when I start talking. Anytime I open my mouth, I'm in another world. I don't know what the fuck I just said, so I'm kind of scared. Uh, but Barbie, let's stay focused. Barbie, I think I completed most of my points. We could dissect it further.
Will Ferrell was really good.
Oh, thank you. That's what I wanted to say before I went on a tangent about fascism. Thank you. He's just Lord Business from the Lego Movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how much you knew going in. I didn't know he was even in the movie.
I knew he was in the movie.
But you didn't even see a trailer.
I saw a promo.
Okay, you saw the promo. I didn't see the promo.
Like, it was just from all the memes of people like, this is depressed Barbie, or this is Doomslayer Barbie, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Those templates were used for the characters in the movie, and Will Ferrell was there.
I just didn't see it. I
Yeah.
saw all the
I didn't see anything about John Cena being in it. That was a surprise to me.
Me as well.
If it was in the promo pictures, I missed it.
Both these movies have cameos from people for like a split second. Blink and you'll miss it. You could absolutely miss the John Cena cameo.
I missed Dua Lipa
Huh?
because I'm not familiar with her
Oh.
face. I just know her music.
It's one of those. I don't know what it is. Like these actors just show for
Not an act. Well, for Dua Lipa, she's a
in this
musician.
instance.
Yeah.
In this instance, John Cena just came out of nowhere, but I wasn't shocked when he showed up. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. He would be a mermaid in this Barbie world.
Yeah.
He would be
getting brought brewskis by Dua Lipa.
That makes sense. Like my brain comprehends that.
Yeah.
But the second I see Will Ferrell, I'm like, holy shit! Is that the guy from Talladega Nights? Oh my god, is that the guy from Step Brothers?
Oh my god, it's the villain from Lego Movie.
That's even more apt. Okay. So if I was gonna say that not John Cena, if Dwayne the Rock Johnson, another wrestler, if he plays the same character in every like role he plays, I would say the same is true for Will Ferrell. You know what he reminds me of?
It goes Elf, then Lego Movie, then Barbie movie.
As far as like
his progression through becoming the CEO of Mattel.
Are you're telling me it's all canon?
So Elf, he grows up in Santa Claus's workshop building toys.
Holy shit! I had the same theory.
And then he starts working at Lego, or getting high up in Lego, being able to afford all these different. He works in toys, so of course he would play with Legos, and he builds for the amount of money you would need for those kind of sets. He's building in his basement, like train collector level of work in Legos he's doing here. Of course, if he's playing the same character as he's doing in Lego Movie and Barbie, of course he would climb the ladder to become a CEO of a toy company.
Did you read this online?
I did.
Oh, I thought our wavelengths crossed again. I didn't read anything on this. I didn't think about the elf comparison. That's a good touch. I thought he's so similar to the Lord Business, and because we don't know his actual human name in that movie, that he could just as easily be the same character. I thought about that, but the inclusion of elf is great. If only it was an original and unique slug idea.
Yeah, I don't have many of those.
I thought for a second I was about to have an existential crisis. I'm like, are we just that connected? We had like the same theory. When he showed up, I was like, is John C. Reilly going to show up? I kind of wish. I think Will Ferrell is his funniest when John C. Reilly is on the screen with him.
Yeah.
But by the way, John C. Reilly also does his own music. Go check it out. It's great.
I almost did the other day, but I got distracted. Will Ferrell was good. John Cena was good. Dua Lipa was good. Because, I mean, her acting, in quotations, was fine. I mean, her particular Barbie was explicitly kind of like, look at me, I'm a cameo, more than actual dialogue.
It was a joke.
Yeah.
It was a joke inclusion.
But, yeah, I think that's about it. I think we covered all the points. Other than I'm Just Kidding, it's just so good. Go listen to it. Make sure it stays on the Billboard Top 100.
Please. Not that it needs it. I mean, it's gonna be on the top no matter what you do.
Okay, Ryan Gosling's gonna win the Grammy for best musical performance or
You
theatrical
calling it?
piece, and Killing Murphy's gonna win best actor.
Robert Downey Jr. is gonna win Best Supporting.
I'm telling I don't think we're gonna get a better movie than Oppenheimer in
So
2023.
so here's I was kind of concerned. As I said previously, leaving Barbie going into this, I was so shocked how good Barbie was that I was like, is my experience with this movie going to be hampered because of how good the previous one was? And as good as I know and feel in my heart that Barbie is, I can't stop thinking about Oppenheimer. To me, that was I'm not saying it's the best of the two, but it's the one that has the most staying power in my mind.
It's a 3 hour movie.
It's a 3 hour partially black and white biopic about a person most people don't even know.
They know what he did, but they didn't know the name.
Most people just think of the quote,
Yeah.
which a lot of times these days gets attributed to Godzilla for some reason. Have you seen that?
Yes.
A lot of people think it's a Godzilla quote because they're stupid. But we're here to inform you because this is a semi-informative podcast. I have to include some educational value. No, J. Robert Oppenheimer is a theoretical physicist, not too unlike Gordon Freeman from Half-Life, but he was real. Did not fight aliens. That's my education. Dude, that's all you need to know.
Oh, buddy, I
Holy shit.
love this movie, man.
I can't stop thinking about it.
I want to go see it again, man.
Talk about a box office bomb, am I right?
It really sucks that Killing Murphy couldn't be at the premiere for Oppenheimer.
It makes sense.
He was at the SAG protests
Mhm.
with everybody, which in its own I'm not upset that he didn't go. I just wish he could see the day it came out of his best performance.
This is the role he's gonna be known for. This is the one. Like Peaky Blinders is phenomenal. His role as Scarecrow is phenomenal. This is the one. Think about that. So Margot Robbie plays Harley Quinn. You got Iron Man. You got Scarecrow.
He does so good with Dr. Crane.
Jonathan Crane, I think, is his second best role. I know it's controversial for you. I know how much you love Peaky Blinders. But Peaky Blinders is more so like everyone's great. Like there's not a wink link in that cast. And the same's true for all the Dark Knight movies. Speaking of Dark Knight, Gary Oldman is in the movie too.
Mm-hmm.
And the best part is, I didn't even know it was him the first time.
Nope.
Okay, all my criticisms about other actors, this is what it's been leading to. Gary Oldman is one of the greatest actors alive. If you can't tell who that person is, that's the mark of a good actor. Like Daniel Day-Lewis in Gangs of New York, and then you go and watch Lincoln. If I can't tell that's the same guy.
You're right, yeah.
He played Bill the Butcher, and then he played Lincoln.
Moving up in the world.
Yeah, if you want to talk about progression of roles, sure. Now you look at Gary Oldman playing Commissioner Gordon with Cillian Murphy, and then now he's playing Truman. I know I'm jumping a little bit. I personally don't care for that portrayal of Truman.
No, I don't. He's supposed to be rough, but he's not a dick.
I do like what he says, though. At first, I'm like, that's super mean. The only real mean thing he says is get that crybaby out of here. And it almost had that sort of slander feel that the Marilyn Monroe movie had with John F. Kennedy, where it's like, that's just a side of him I kind of wish I didn't see. True or not true. I'm like, what are you trying to say? I like the Truman scene, except that last ending line, because when Truman's like, he brings out the handkerchief. He's like, you think you have blood on your hands? I'm the guy to drop the bomb. You made it, but no one cares who made it. They care about the guy who dropped it. And I like that because it's a way, bless you, it's a way for Truman to leverage some of the trauma that Oppenheimer may have, some of that guilt and regret that he has. He's like, don't feel that bad because I'm the guy who actually dropped the bomb. I like that.
Backhanded sympathy.
Oh, it is. It's complete backhand sympathy because I don't think it's sympathy at all.
Right.
But I still like the inclusion of I'm the guy who did it. And it's a very short scene, but like with most of the scenes in this movie, I they're all powerful. If for a 3 hour film, for not a single second to be wasted,
I think we could have had more.
isn't it weird?
Because as soon as the Truman scene, it just jumps to like the last few years of his life.
It's a 3 hour movie, and it somehow feels rushed.
I don't know. Maybe it's just me wanting more Killing Murphy.
I was invested from the very start. I've heard some people lobby a few complaints that the beginning, like the first 45 minutes to an hour of the film, feels like a trailer for the second half of the film. It was always too disjointed. Uh, If you have a problem with the pacing and or the overall like how the movie's put together, you're more paying attention to the first minute of the film. It clearly defines there's two parts happening simultaneously together. Almost like with Dunkirk. Dunkirk, also Christopher Nolan, of course.
And Killing Murphy's in it.
Yes.
Tom Hardy's in it too, right?
There's a
And Harry Styles. That's
That's
all
the
I
big. That's the
remember.
one that throws me off
Yeah.
every time. It's Harry Styles. He's great, but the usage of time. This is his trademark when it comes to filmmaking. Is his spin on time. You have movies like Tenet, which play up the whole entropy and time reversing itself. But in Interstellar, you're on another planet where time flows differently. So like 5 seconds there is like a year on Earth. Always time, always playing around with the concept of time. I don't know what his obsession is with it. Hell, even Oppenheimer is mentioned in Tenet as a offhand comment. So
That's crazy.
yeah, he straight up just talks
He
about Oppenheimer.
manifests his future movies.
It's almost like he's kind of got it mapped out, but he's got such a unique style that's so, at this point, so well known. You could hold lectures or seminars on his filmmaking the same way you could talk about Scorsese and his mobster movies. It's his trademark go-to.
What if that's a pretty decent way to write scripts is when you're working on one script and you come up with an idea that doesn't work for it, you write it down somewhere else for a different script, and
Be
as you
resourceful.
continue writing the script, once when you start on the next script, you already have one that's like almost fleshed out, you know?
I've done that. Not with scripts, but with books that I want to write. There's so many great concepts. I say great as if I'm stroking myself. I like these concepts that I have, and I'm like, I might as well do something with them. Let me bolster the plot, not shoehorn it in necessarily, but if I have an idea that I think is good, and make it complement the other ideas you have, or save it for a further project. Absolutely. Um, so when the movie begins, you have two chapters happen simultaneously, of course, across different periods of time. You have fission and fusion. Fission is the 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 color version with Oppenheimer. I take this to mean that this is all subjective. Everything that's in color is from the perspective of J. Robert Oppenheimer and his experiences and how he views the world, his own personal philosophy. The black and white segments, usually spearheaded by Robert Downey Jr.'s character Strauss. They make a point about the pronunciation. Uh, but
They do.
yeah, they literally bring it up because they're like, people are going to be mispronouncing this, like me right now. Uh, but when it's that moment, and that's usually the court drama and all that stuff with Robert, with Strauss, that's the black and white. That's the objective. This is facts. This the truth. So the fission and fusion are happening throughout the entire movie between the subjective and the objective, and a lot of times they either don't connect very well, or the truth and the subjective at that moment in time don't click. So there's moments of the film where the pacing's weird or it's jumping a lot because it's two stories happening at the same time across different periods of time, if that makes sense.
It's quite a trip because you gotta stay focused the entire time.
Never lost focus. I was constantly engaged.
It's you blink and you miss it.
especially cameos.
Oh yeah,
Uh, uh, the guy who played his last name's Malik. Rami Malek, who plays Freddie Mercury. He's also in the James
iRobot.
Bond iRobot.
Yeah, that's how I recognized him as the iRobot guy. Like I saw Bohemian Rhapsody, but I just know him for a show I never watched.
Yeah, he,
Josh Peck dropped the test
don't
bomb.
forget.
He looks a lot like the guy. Like that.
So
You've seen,
you looked at the pictures?
yeah. I saw this one post of them comparing the different how they look to each other. Cillian Murphy's, I think, is just enough. It's just enough to be like, yeah, I'm literally watching Oppenheimer, but with Josh playing, I forget his name, but the guy who hits the red button to drop it and set it up looks almost identical.
It's
Excuse me.
scary how
Yeah.
close some of these people were. Even Robert Downey Jr. as
Close
Strauss.
enough.
I think it's really good.
I think the weakest one is Truman.
Yes, and even then, I still see it.
Yeah.
Like I can see what they're going for.
When like even if I wasn't thinking about the time period, who would be president, when he walked on screen, I was like, oh shit, that's Truman.
Yeah, so it's still really good. If that's your reaction, you can immediately identify the president. You're like, okay, then that's good
I mean,
enough.
it could have cleared it in that it's obviously we're meeting the president, but going into the Oval Office, obviously, but like I still was just like, okay, I haven't seen a movie yet, rendition of Truman before, and I can see that's Truman.
Yeah, I mean we've got it with Lyndon B. Johnson. That was a fantastic film. I mean
Lincoln,
huh?
Lincoln,
Lincoln's one of the greatest biopics ever made. I mean, straight up. Don't watch that Netflix garbage with Cleopatra. That's not historically accurate. But Lincoln, I can verify for you. Someone who actually likes history in that time period is pretty fucking spot on. This, it's scary sometimes when you watch the movie and then you do some research after the fact. I feel like I just walked into history. It's almost a documentary. I would quantify it as a documentary more so than a biopic. I was looking at pictures of Einstein's office in Princeton, and there's photographs that Einstein has set up, and now it's a display as a historical site, as a historical room. You can come in and look at a bunch of Einstein's belongings. There's pictures of Oppenheimer in that room. It's a shot straight out of the film. There's a picture. I have a theory about this one. This one's like, wait a minute. So there's a picture too, taken from a distance, of Oppenheimer walking next to Einstein as they make their way toward the pond.
right?
It's the same shot. It's in black and white. It's the same shot.
I think I remember seeing
It's
that.
scary how similar that is. But my thought is, who took that picture? Strauss.
Right.
He had to have taken that picture. But that's before they even got to the pond where this conversation took place.
Right.
Which meant that before anything happened, Strauss was like, I don't like this guy. He's already like, I don't like this guy. He's talking to Einstein. You know, I think that's the conspiracy on its own that Strauss always meant from the very beginning to be like, I don't like this guy. Not because, oh, he soured Einstein on me. Einstein doesn't like me anymore. Fucking baby. Give me a break.
Yeah. Honestly, that would like. Obviously, I had a feeling that it wasn't like they weren't shit talking him. That was like the big twist. Spoiler alert: the big twist at the end of the movie. What it reveals what was actually said, and Einstein was just telling him, "Be prepared for people to hate you." Like before he was any part of the paperclip, or before we Germans learned how to split the atom for the first time. This is before Oppenheimer becomes who he eventually becomes. I mean, obviously at this point he's already like a really good scientist and known through word of mouth through other professors and stuff. But to be told by like even then and even in now, Albert Einstein being the most intelligent human to ever exist, telling you be prepared for them to hate you. for
Right.
what you discover, what you help out in the field of science.
Oh, the scene with Alden Emmerich, who played Han Solo and also was in Cocaine Bear. He played the trying to think of his exact role. He was working for the Senate when he's questioning, doing inquiries for the Senate
Right.
on behalf of the Senate, questioning Strauss. And one of my favorite lines in the whole film is when because Robert Downey Jr. This is probably the moment he's going to get an Oscar for, or some kind of award, where he's going off doing his whole spiel about this is what Oppenheimer would have wanted. He should be thanking me, and he's like, "Well, they're not." And he's like, I know he turned Einstein against me, and he's like, "Well, what if they were just talking about something more important? You just go fuck yourself. Who do you think you are? You think
Yes.
you're special?"
Yeah.
And then he just mic drops and walks out, and then Robert Downey Jr. gives this shit-eating grin as he walks out to the press. Now, I don't want to poke a hole in what you said. That scene takes place after the Trinity test and after the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Ooh, I
It, it,
didn't know that.
it takes place in 1947, and the only reason I know that is because they make this is why you this is a movie you can watch multiple times. Um, they mention the fact that Strauss didn't meet Oppenheimer until they met at Princeton in 1947. It's a real quick line of dialogue.
Damn it.
But your point still is still correct. You know, the whole conversation with Einstein, it all still holds up. Einstein, regarded as one of the smartest, most intelligent men in history, was also ridiculed at points.
Yeah.
You know, he met and faced a lot of adversity. You know, that also happened to him. And at that
They're both
point,
Jewish.
I wish they brought that up more. Like you had the other more heavier set guy. I can't quite remember his name at the moment.
Who gave him the fruit on the train, right?
Hmm. And then later an orange slice. He was great. Very just on his side as two Jewish men at this time coming together.
Like he wasn't a communist,
No,
and he didn't want the bombs to be dropped. Period. But to be able to still support Oppenheimer, like even when he was standing trial, he's like, yes, I think, like he said, yes, I think his security should be stripped. But he's not a bad man.
I respect that. You know, it's honest, but also like with Teller, for example. I don't know. I feel like Teller's a fucking kook. I don't know how much you read about Edward Teller. He was a bit of a kooky guy.
Who's that one?
Um, he's the one that worked on the H bomb.
The hydrogen bomb, the guy that was always sweaty, telling him nobody gives a shit about the H bomb.
The guy who looked like the Pizza Hut guy. Not Pizza Hut. Is it Pizza Hut?
We'll see. Pizza Hut. Oh, the Nord, the
No,
Node.
you know what I'm talking about. The guy. They made all those Joker memes with him, where he's like, "There's gonna be a reckoning." There's
Oh,
Papa John. Papa John.
Papa John.
Yes,
Oh, a little bit. I know what you're trying to say.
like how sweaty he constantly
Yeah,
looks like he's sweaty and filled
like he should be
sweat.
in with Tony Soprano or like The Godfather.
He really does. That tan, sweaty look to him.
He was great. I mean, we're struggling trying to describe for me to remember who this character was, but I fucking loved him. I just couldn't. I missed his name.
That's it. A lot of these names they say it like twice, maybe. Some of these
And they're
characters.
like not easy names.
No, like, then you got Feynman, who is played by I know him as Huey from The Boys.
Oh yeah,
He's
yeah, yeah.
just constantly playing the bongos. Again, doing research after the fact. That's a big guy. He's really important to the physics. All these people, all these names. It's the Avengers of scientists. And I love the memes people make about the new Oppenheimer cinematic universe. And the thing is, I'm not opposed to that because all these people could probably hold their own movie.
That is a very interesting way to call it a cinematic universe. It's just all
World
these
history.
it's just world history.
A real world, but it's a sect of world history that's so niche that it might as well be in a wholly original story. Because most people
Yeah,
are unfamiliar.
like even like obviously if I fucking love radioactive sci-fi, I'm gonna have to know. But majority of this movie I didn't know. It was really a very fresh breath of fresh air because it's like I know this guy. He's created a bomb. I know the names of the tests and everything, how long it took and everything. I'm more aware of it, like the process was it does, the radiation does over time and everything. Studying it as much as my puny brain can understand, but it's too good. It's way too good for its own good. I don't know if we're ready for a world history cinematic
I don't think
universe.
we deserve it.
No,
But yeah, all these people could honestly hold their own movie, but they show up so sparingly that they feel like filler. But then you get huge. That's what they feel like
that's
at
a
first.
wild way to describe Albert Einstein. Is filler.
No, 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 he's not filler. He's Nick Fury coming in at the end of the Avengers, be like, I'm creating a team. Dude, the scene where the fucking taxi leaves, and he comes out of the shadows. I'm like, I swear to God, I think he's gonna say I'm starting a team.
He's orchestrating it all.
We're building a bomb. I want you involved. That's what it felt like.
Oh my god!
Coming out of the shadows. Holy shit, it's Einstein. It's so menacing. I'm like, there he is.
I know. Oh, it's this is. If you haven't seen it, you need to go see it.
Ooh, okay, I'll talk real quick about the audio. A lot of people complain about Nolan's films that the audio's not great. I think where this movie shines is actually in the audio and the reverb and the music. The music is subtle at times where you forget you're listening to a soundtrack, and then BAM! Right in the kisser.
Dude, I was shitting bricks in the theater watching them put the bomb in the actual capsule over in New Mexico. That is the most tense and scared I've been in a theater in years.
I remember this because you were pretty quiet the whole movie, but you verbally went, dude.
Oh,
You went, dude. This is 20 minutes before the bomb even goes off. Now, I've seen a lot of people complain like it wasn't explosive enough. They went to this movie thinking that it's going to be this extravaganza of just constantly bombs going. Like, what do you think this is? It's called
they're dropping
Oppenheimer.
one bomb.
Well,
One bomb.
and that's the only one you see. And what I love about that scene is it doesn't venerate the bomb because personally going in, I honestly really didn't care about the bomb scene. That wasn't why I was there. I was there to learn. I was there to observe and learn, and I want to know more about Oppenheimer other than just epic rap battles of history.
I that would be, who would he fight?
Thanos.
Oh, he did.
He did fight
Oh,
Thanos.
right. Yeah, I completely forgot about that one.
I mean, that's not where I learned him from, but just to make another reference as I do. Um, but the whole Trinity.
Marvel crossover. Because
Yeah,
they're owned by Disney.
shit, you're right. Oppenheimer's a Marvel character.
I mean, shit, if Santa Claus can be an official DC character.
I think Santa Claus is an official character in like every licensed media. I think I think Santa Claus is an info hazard. Like from SCP, I think he's like an info hazard. He exists in all forms of media at all times. But the whole 20-minute lead up scene to that, a lot of people are like, "This is what I'm here for. I came here for the bomb dropping." And I'm sorry for you if that's the case, but the movie doesn't venerate it. It doesn't glorify it. And I know there's a lot of controversy with Japan not liking the handling of the marketing for the film.
It's understandable
Yeah,
to an extent.
but the movie doesn't glorify it.
No.
It doesn't make Oppenheimer a hero. He's one of the he's in the same way that Ken is relatable. He's relatable because of his flaws. He's not a bad person, but he's not this heroic figure either. He's constantly conflicted, and I love the use of black and white also to showcase that duality in him. But the lead up to that scene is slow. It's tension building at its finest. And when the bomb finally hits, by the way, the timing is correct. We know exactly how long it took for the sound wave to reach them at Los Alamos. And that's portrayed in the movie second for second. That's exactly how long it took for them to hear it. So it's like looking through a window as if you were there. Terrifying.
Wow. I didn't know that. I my stupid fucking brain trying to figure out the actual wavelengths. My brain just assumed, yeah, that makes sense.
Well, yeah.
But it's such a nice touch. Like, I mean, I guess if I'm not even thinking about it and it makes sense, it's probably for most people too. But it's still impressive that it's down to the second.
You forget you're watching the movie and you just accept these things as they come. Even the conversation he has with Einstein about atmospheric ignition and that, we
It's
might
not
just
less than zero.
no, we've done the we're better informed now. It's actually not even close to what they thought. But it's scary to think that they didn't know that. This is the first time this is ever happening. To me, that's where the most of the tension and stress of the film comes from. Is the not necessarily the dropping of the bomb itself, but how much they don't know, and they're just doing it anyways.
Like us moving that couch.
Oh, we're gonna get it down. That's not the point. It's gonna happen. It's just a matter of how. Yeah, I think like music was just incredible. So when you finally get hit with that sound wave, like the first time we saw it, we didn't see it in IMAX, but the whole theater shook.
Mm-hmm.
I've never experienced that in a movie that was in
Mm-hmm.
IMAX. The place shook.
I think the closest was Godzilla vs. King Kong
Yeah,
when they were in the Hollow Earth.
that makes sense. There'd be a lot of reverb in the Hollow Earth, a lot of shaking. Um, the scene where everyone is get their feet on the platforms,
The
signaling.
risers.
Yeah, the risers signaling his entrance, his grand entrance, and he's trying to talk to these people, and he starts just completely breaking down. The way the camera shakes, the everything goes white, and all of a sudden everyone's sounds are just completely toned out, and you're just stuck in his head, and that's a scary place to be. Is
It,
in Oppenheimer's head.
dude, it reminded me of. Excuse me. It reminded me of. I don't think it's a spoiler because I've talked about it before with you, but it's from a season you haven't seen yet of Peaky Blinders. He becomes at one point he becomes the leader of the the labor uh, party, right? So it's just a communist party, and the way that he was giving his speeches when he was at the labor meetings is kind of like when he switches to say what would get them excited. That's like the energy he had when he was talking as the leader of the Labor Party.
It makes sense that someone as intelligent as him would explore alternative avenues of political thinking.
Hmm.
It makes sense. I'm not talking about the Peaky Blinders character. I'm talking. I'm
I mean,
talking.
it is wild.
It's
Like
yeah.
like my man's shaking hands with the possible like it was very possible the dictator of uh the UK. Like it's dead scary, man. And like when they drop, oh, like he's in the presence of people who were at Hitler's wedding.
The history of Peaky Blinders is also just riveting to watch. It's a good comparison to this movie because it feels the same. It feels like cameos of. If you're a history nerd, you're like, there it is.
Oh my god, what's his name? Jack Nelson, Jack the bootlegger.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he would mention him, and then they at one point talk about Al Capone.
That's our boy.
Yeah.
That's our guy. Yes. Yeah, oh yeah. The history calls are fantastic. They happen so snappily and so quickly in Oppenheimer that if you don't know history, you're gonna be lost for a majority of the film. If you don't know what any of this stuff is, especially if you don't know who Oppenheimer or Einstein are, you're like, who's? I don't know if that's a possibility. You
Yeah,
think
that
so?
you don't know who Einstein is.
That's a scary thought.
Yeah.
That's scarier than the bomb. Not knowing. Um, I'm trying to see. This is for the fact that they got the seconds down right for the Trinity test, but you know what? There is a fluke. They did mess up. That scene I'm referring to when everything goes white and then he hears that ringing in his ears. He steps on that charred corpse. There's 50 stars on the flag that they use in the background, but this is the early 40s, so there's like 48 stars on the flag. It's see, as time goes on, this is something that concerns me as someone who wants to try to replicate older periods of time. It becomes harder and harder. Like for instance, I'm working on a project now that's set in 1998, but I'm filming like a road or a highway that has modern vehicles on it. So I'm like, it's something I didn't even think about. That I can't just go out in the world and shoot my modern day existence because people will clearly know it's set in the modern day. So
That was yesterday.
yeah,
I was on that road yesterday.
it's like you gotta be careful, and that's why a lot of for instance like analog horror and stuff, they're trying to replicate this older period of time, so they just don't show anything. There's like they just put a filter on, like they don't show you what most of the world looks like. It's so much easier to get around it. But as time goes on, you're like, okay, this make of car, what like say you're setting a movie in 1985, but you got a make of car that's from 1986. Some people might be able to let that go. Or in Better Call Saul, there's a scene in the background. They're in a mall, and in the background there's a store with a jersey on it, and the show takes place in 2010, or at least this particular scene takes place in 2010. But there's a jersey of somebody on the back wall of a player who wasn't playing in 2010.
Yeah, I think the worst one that I've ever read about was the Starbucks cup in Game of Thrones.
They photoshopped it out, so they saved themselves some face, but not really. They just gave up at that point.
Like the pictures out there.
Yeah, it's there. It's that's bad because like that's even worse than the jersey because like that's such a minimal little oversight. It's whatever, but you're set in a medieval fantasy world. It's not even like historical Earth. You're not on Earth at all. This is a completely different universe. It's not, someone time traveled and brought a Starbucks. No, they can't because it's not even the same timeline. This is a completely different world. The Starbucks will never exist in this world.
Not if Starbucks has anything to do with it. They
Oh
they have the
God,
money to like try to push a coffee based like mead selling store or some shit.
I'd buy it. I want to complain about Starbucks, but I'd buy their coffee. It was targeted toward like medieval enthusiasts such as myself. Sure. Uh, yeah, I think that completes my thoughts on it. I think it completes my thoughts on it. How about you?
I love the uh the Hispanic actress that plays his first girlfriend.
Lawrence Pugh?
I loved her so much. She was just such a very complicated character, and it broke my heart when she killed herself. Because
The
it's not even projecting from like I think she's hot or anything. The complexity of their relationship, like even before they were married, or he got married to somebody else. The idea that it it's so weird to have like this kind of like mini thing, like because we're talking about a historic relationship, but to see that it's when both parties want to be involved with each other, not just in a loving way, but in an intimacy way, it makes things so much difficult when right out of the gate you know that we just can't work as a like a, not even like in a marriage way, but in the idea of how marriages should work, right? So like a day to day like relationship, being public about it and everything, it just won't work. Whether it's the political alignments, whether it's wedlock or anything like that, or like even on the level of like my work is so important to me that it would affect it if we got together publicly. because you're a communist, and not even like coming from the angle of friends with benefits, but genuine people who were like, this is very good, but it's just never gonna work, and like both mutually understanding that and being very saddened by it. I think he struck gold the first time. He didn't need to check out the
I don't know. She did come in clutch at the end there,
yeah.
saved his ass. But her performance was phenomenal. Again, the movie really builds itself on duality and two conflicting things. They shouldn't go together. I mean, you could say like relationships are like building a bomb. I don't think that's too far fetched to say that the whole movie
Yeah,
is built on two two things that shouldn't work together. But if they are together too long, they will explode. And his relationship with Lawrence Pugh is like a ticking time bomb. These are two completely divergent things that should not be put together, but because that they are, it creates conflict. It creates an explosion that eventually ends up taking her life. And that's not his fault. Yeah, he recognized that he needed to separate himself from her that he thought would be beneficial to her. But at this point, she was so invested in him, even though she tried to distance herself constantly through the movie, that that final nail in the coffin of "I'm never going to see you again" was so devastating that she would take her life. And I think the movie handles that scene beautifully. The trauma, the grief, the regret, and I love seeing Cillian Murphy's acting on display in that scene where Emily Blunt comes to him and comforts him. But at the same time, it's if we want to talk about how like Ken didn't need Barbie at the end of the movie, I love that message that he loved her, but he's not. He doesn't need that kind of relationship from her. He just needs validation and support. Emily Blunt's the exact opposite. You don't get to commit the sin and then have other people feel bad for you.
right.
Pick yourself up. You are important. And another character says this: "You're not just important. You're not just self-important. You're actually important. You matter. You have to get back up as a man and continue. You can't just get bogged down in this loss and this grief and let it take over you. You're important. Get your ass up. Get back in the lab."
Yeah, and I know it could be considered controversial or taboo, but it's still a connection with another person. And the idea that his wife is upset, but still has that sympathy that this is a person he cared very deeply about and now is gone. Whether it was their relationship himself was a sin to her, right? Because they were married. But the fact that her partner is so distraught about the loss of this life that she has sympathy, but that it doesn't give her the right to not be upset about the actual affair itself. And I really appreciated that. Like you get that feeling. Yes, I am. I you have my condolence that this is somebody that you loved. This is somebody that you really cared for, a friend, a colleague, whatever. Like obviously we knew it was more than that, but like just these different. She wasn't just an affair to him. You know, that's the hardest part to when describing affairs is that yes, 99% of the time it's with people that are meaningless, but it's very rare to find a link that isn't just a nobody to you. And I don't know, just the idea of respecting the fact that this is a person that the person I loved cared a lot about and is now destroyed because of it. You have the sympathy. You can like no, there's no reason for her not to be upset. Any genuine person would be very upset, a violation of that kind of trust. But it shows more to her character and shows how much she loves him for just not even forgiving or accepting, just understanding that he cared about this person and now he's gone. I
How,
think
how do you feel about the first utterance of "Now I have become death"? Do you think it's hammy the way it was portrayed?
No, I think it was personally, and I know this is gonna upset people. I think it was pretty badass, but I can understand India not liking it very much. I can respect and understand their their objection to it. I thought it was badass. I'm sorry.
As he goes and does a tactical insertion to utter the phrase "Now I become Death, Destroyer of Worlds" as he reads from from a Hindu scripture. Badass.
It's pretty badass.
It was pretty badass. Also, that scene, Lawrence Pugh in Arabic countries in the Middle East.
Yes, I read about this.
She's got like a shawl on. I haven't seen any photos from it, but apparently she's clothed because they can't handle nipples.
Well, no, what I read is that they generally believe that she was too fat.
That's what they're saying.
Yes, I read several articles talking about there are countries that saw it as disgusting, so they covered it rather than
She's
covering the nudity.
For American standards, she's actually pretty skinny.
Yes,
Do they have sexual skeletons? You know what?
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know.
But it was kind of sad too because her whole career, I read that she was told that she wasn't given particular parts because of her weight. And it's like she's not overweight. I think I read she was at least 5 pounds over the average.
Damn, I feel bad. If that's pounds over the average, shit,
Yeah,
I need to fix my regimen.
but no, I think it's all stupid. But I think that is stupid if they're gonna just objectify her and say no, she's not beautiful enough to be in this intimate scene. Because it's like when you have this, like this is like a believable sex scene. You know, it's not overly passionate and it's not overly gratified like a porno. It's just a very like yes, this is how it would naturally happen. And I think those scenes are more in a way poetry, like the beauty of a naked model and the actual act of sex is beautiful.
Even
Not
though it's
even
forbidden in that moment.
right. Yeah, I think like on an intellectual level, I think we can all agree that like yeah, if we're gonna cut out all of our childish ways, like yeah, the act of sex is beautiful because in a sense, for the most part, it's for the preservation of life, the continuation of life. So I for the idea to cover her up because she wasn't gorgeous enough to be in that uh, poetic scene. You know, I feel like it's just who the fuck are you? Honestly, like who the fuck are you to tell this woman that she's not beautiful enough to have a sex scene?
Do you think there's a parallel between his relationship with her and the creation of the bomb? And I don't mean in the explosive outcome. I mean in the sense that it's something that should be unattainable, but because he wasn't supposed to have it, because he was taught that he wasn't supposed to desire and have this, made him want it more. Also, kind of fueled his desire for the bomb.
I think in a way, I think if I want to strip it down a little bit, is he knows that he can win America the war and stop all the evil that Hitler's doing and the Japanese are doing with this bomb. But he doesn't want to do it because it's going to take thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, millions of lives. And then on the other side, to a less detriment degree, but still, like, yes, I love this woman and I want to be with her, but uh, being with her and being labeled as a communist is career suicide.
So he's in an unwinnable situation.
Yeah.
Which is what the whole movie's about. Is every decision he makes, and this is exemplified at the very beginning and the very end with the ripples. The rain in this scene. I know this is so pretentious, but the rain at the scene when him and Einstein are by the pond. Uh, you don't even see the rain show up on the screen itself. You only see the rain when it's in the pond or on Oppenheimer's hat. That's the only place where you see that there it is in fact raining. You wouldn't get that impression unless you looked into the water and saw the ripple effects. The whole movie is about consequences to your actions, even though at times you cannot see them. It's not always apparent. But everything you do, there is a reaction.
It's such a beautifully shot movie. Like almost like half the movie I would have as a poster. And this when we describe it as a story, it doesn't feel accurate because it like yes, this is an interpretation of what happened, but the events happened nonetheless. There's
Pretty closely to how they're being depicted.
right. So to call it a story, I think is a little disrespectful, but the story is beautifully woven. It's it's believable and it's captivating and it's like as if it was another movie, like just a really good storytelling movie. And I think that's what really makes biopics the best is when you are so enthralled into it that you don't like. There's almost like a disconnect. Like you want to put walls up for particular. Like, okay, this is gonna be a reenactment of what happened. You want to put it down because it might be educational or too educational, too boring. But like when you have a good biopic like Oppenheimer or Lincoln, you're enthralled by it because of the actual detail and care in telling the story. You're so convinced that you get those walls down and you enjoy it like in any other movie, like you would watch like Die Hard or Terminator. You know, you just put down these walls and just have a really good time with the movie. And I feel like Oppenheimer really does that well with their storytelling, and the pacing is perfect. The cuts back and forth between the court scenes and the actual events leading up to the detonation of the first bomb. It's just so I don't know. I'm a lack of words other than beautiful. It's just a perfect movie.
Would you would you consider the whole phenomena of Barbenheimer an anomaly?
Actually, no. With the 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 thought space or the climate of the meme sphere right now is just like ripe for like, yeah, this makes sense. This would happen if Barbie and a movie about the man who made the atomic bomb come out on the same day. Of course, we're gonna make it a thing.
Well, yeah. It's great for Hollywood. This is the probably the best thing that's happened to Hollywood since I was about to make a really bad joke about James Dean.
Oh shit!
This is the
You're
best thing.
watching too much Monument Mythos.
Yeah. Damn, you read me like a fucking book. Um,
I know my
wow.
shit. I
Yeah,
know my
you're
shit.
good. That was good. Um, now this duality again, because yeah, you have the good with Barbenheimer, but this fall, are you ready for Saw Patrol?
I
Oh,
saw that. Yes, I'll fucking do it with you. I'm not even kidding.
okay, there's a big difference. There's a big difference because yeah, like a lot of jokes in Barbie go over kids' heads, but essentially it's a family movie. As an adult,
PG-13.
as an adult I can go see Barbie, and as an adult I can see Oppenheimer. Which, by the way,
Is
I
rated R.
I don't think I've ever felt like an adult going to a movie than when I came out of Oppenheimer. I felt like a man coming out of that movie.
Wearing
But
a suit. Dude, you couldn't look more Irish if you tried. You couldn't look more Irish if you tried.
and I wasn't even trying. That's just my regular fit. That's what I would wear normally if I could.
Yeah,
It's
those
just too hot.
pictures will be up soon. I look like Saturday Night Fever.
Oh, you look great. You look like you're in the middle of disco. Like
R.I.P. R.I.P. the Black Aviators.
oh yeah, the left arm came off.
Uh,
I'm sorry. I went to the gas station. I saw a new pair of aviators, the ones I'm wearing now. And thought, $20? Oh yeah, Slug needs a new pair. Proceeds to buy them for myself. I'm so sorry.
I got a new pair. Will debut a little later.
Yeah,
I I think they work, but I'm definitely going to be getting another pair that are actually black, like the old ones, because I feel like I got some ideas for this one. This one didn't call me as much as the original black ones, but I had a feeling like I could make that work.
You will. It's not a choice. You will.
Yeah.
No. Speaking of will it work or not, as I was saying with Barbie and Oppenheimer's, you can go between the two pretty easy. They both deal with radicalization and extremism and existentialism. I think these are all concepts we as men can get behind. But when it comes to Saw Patrol, and I've even seen Paramount tweeting about it. Is it still called tweeting? Or is it Xing? Is it
Oh,
tweeting?
did you see the new X video?
You can't say that. Don't say that to me. I don't know. What do you mean the new X video? I watch a
I
lot of
saw
X videos. Which
I,
one are you talking about?
I saw it in a meme that now you can't say the Twitter video. You have to say, "Did you see the X video?"
That's going to cause a lot of confusion.
Yes,
A lot of confusion.
it already did.
That's
Just here live.
that's an info hazard on its own. But Saw Patrol, Paramount's tweeting. I don't know, tweeting about it.
They're still tweeting. Fuck you.
Okay, that's not X. I'm going to call it Twitter. I don't think anyone's going to stop calling it
They're
Twitter.
selling iPhones with the original Twitter logo on it.
Like the way they sold like
Flappy Bird
and Szechuan sauce. Oh, interesting. Yeah, but think about this: Saw X and Paw Patrol. You can't go from one to the other. Like there is some through line with Barbie and Oppenheimer. Like, yeah, it's not supposed to. There's not supposed to be this connection, but the fact that us cinema snobs, we can do that.
Right.
With Saw Patrol, I'm like, I can't just
got nothing for you, dog.
I can't just go from Saw to Paw Patrol. Sure, do they both deal with broken law enforcement and broken and like systems within a city? Sure.
Yeah, you shouldn't have canines as your police department.
Yeah, it's all about police corruption.
Excuse me, puppies.
Ooh, whatever. It still deals with police corruption and law enforcement reform. That's what Saw's about, kind of, depending on what intro you want to follow. If you want to follow the book of Saw Spiral with Chris Rock.
I haven't seen it.
Me neither, but I just think it's funny.
We're gonna have to watch it.
Chris Rock of all people, we got a Saw episode. Don't worry, it'll come. Chris Rock of all people said, "I'm gonna make a Saw movie."
Don't.
He did. So now we're stuck with it. Did you just?
You know what I did? We can keep moving forward.
That was awesome. I thought that to myself so many times.
It's almost 11.
Okay, yeah. So I would say Saw Patrol, more so than Barbenheimer, is this anomalous thing that shouldn't exist, but we now exist in a world in which it does.
I'm not mad. I'm not mad about it. I'm gonna go do both. It's gonna be fucking funny.
Well, I think we have a solution to our problem.
What?
Who are you gonna call?
Ghostbusters?
Fuck those guys. No, the SCP Foundation.
Uh-huh.
Bada bing, bada boom. Transitions. I don't think Oppenheimer has a monopoly on the concept of governmental conspiracies or existentialism. I'd like to hand the crown over to the SCP Foundation, which, if you love the cold, sterile feel that Oppenheimer brings, how it feels so much like a documentary, and like, this is fact, this is what you're dealing with. The same level of love I have for that kind of storytelling, regardless if it's true or not, if you apply that to something fictional like SCP, it's in the same vein as Lovecraft. And a lot of the way his writings were, if you didn't know any better, you would read them as fact. How sterile and clinical, and this is the facts being presented to you, whether it be in the form of a journal or a redacted document. I love that shit, man. I love like Black Ops, secret documentation that you're not supposed to be privy to. When the Goon Gang rise up.
So
tell me your experience with it.
Well, First thing I was going to talk about was the fact that some Russian guy owns the copyright for SCP.
Does he though? Because you got people. Speaking of Wendigo, now he's good friends with the guy who's been making the SCP Overlord
Yeah.
short films. So you still have people creatively going out there, putting their stamp on it, regardless if they're paying tribute to some Russian guy. Does anyone give two shits? They're isolated right now.
Well,
No,
they said at some point that he was planning on take down the website if he wanted to.
that's another person who needs to be assassinated in Russia. Add that to the list.
Oh,
Get on this, Washington.
I don't know. I guess Markiplier is the jumping off point because I'd go back and watch his SCP Foundation videos when I first found him. But he was putting. I watched. What got me interested in that was that he was putting out like, update to the SCP Foundation game, new features, new games, whatever it was, and I watched those, and then it got me interested in the going back and watching his old videos. Then I started watching videos on individual ones, but I still call them the names that I call the guy the Larry. Is the SCP the one that covers his eyes?
Shy guy.
Shy guy.
That's 93.
Yeah, 93.
Still 93.
He calls him Larry, so I call him Larry. It just fits for me, but I've always had a fascination with plague doctors. So I mean,
049.
yeah, it was my favorite. It was honestly my favorite.
So you're an old school kind of SCP fan. The stairwell, the hard to kill reptile, shy guy, the old man, which I believe his name was Larry. The old man that travels through walls.
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, he has this dark torture dimension where he drags people
Yeah.
into it. So the SCP Foundation is a repository for some of the most creative ideas, but I feel like a lot of its early history is kind of stained by creepypastas.
I want to say it stayed.
In some cases, I think it benefits from it, but we, at this current stage in the SCP life cycle, we're so far removed from that kind of storytelling that going back and reading them, especially Hard to Kill Reptile, is kind of difficult for me. It's not bad, but when I love the just more deep and detailed stories that really do read like these people did their research. They know a lot of scientific terminology. They're using them properly, and that's important. And it's like it reads like a Jules Verne Lovecraftian novel with proper scientific information, containment procedures, and there's so many layers to it nowadays that it really makes the old SCP Foundation just look like a shit pasta.
Yeah, like the most newest one, or at least not quite new, but the one that really threw me off is the new danger level ones, where it's like this one can't be contained because it's literally a container.
So creative and clever. There's so many fun ones. If I'm going to start with my favorite as of right now, my favorite SCP is SCP-1861, which already when I think of 1861, I think ironclad warships. I think Fort Sumter. I think American Civil War. That's the first image that comes to mind. And even though this SCP really has nothing to do with that, it's funny that it kind of is. So SCP-1861 is a World War One era like Royal British submarine that randomly, periodically, like once every 3 to 6 months, will spawn in a body of water and will suddenly turn that body of water into blood. It's definitely got iron lung kind of vibes to it. Now, even if the puddle of water is like 2 inches deep, the sub, as long as its lookout tower can breach the water, it will surface. And now there's an instance of SCP-1861 called 1861-B. And these people wear like old-timey diving suits, and they come out and try to convince people like they're like, I don't know, like fucking Jonestown, trying to convince people to come and join them, and like they're telling them that there's something bad coming, some kind of unforetold event. It's unspecified. A lot of SCPs are like that. Like, also big bad's coming, but they don't specify what this vague threat is.
It's SCP-001.
That most of them are that. It's just very unspecific, vague threat, like the Scarlet King or something. It's like it's just generic
When
evil
it
bad guy.
just drop like a very, like, it's not a deep cut, but we're talking about something niche, and then you're gonna talk about something niche in the like
Like it's
that's
a
deep
huge name
lore.
drop. That's a fucking huge lore drop right there. Just to say the name, it's like, oh shit, that's a big deal. Don't worry, he'll come back up probably multiple times. Because there's another one I want to talk about on here that's directly related to that. But this one is they convince people. They come onto the submarine, and once you're on the submarine, they don these costumes. So anytime the submarine appears in any body of water, they will now be part of its crew. And if you take an instance of 1861B away from the submarine, they will then become lethargic and will cease to move until they come in contact with the submarine again. Is it the most detailed? No. Is it probably too simplistic? Maybe, but I love just how it's just creative, and I'm like there's no threat. It's a Keter class. I don't think we've discussed the classes. Let me go through that real quick. So now they've been updated as time goes on, but the basic ones are you have safe, which doesn't actually mean it's safe. It just means you can contain it. You can place it somewhere and it won't go anywhere.
Right.
Like the theater, the Greek theater mask. It's like it's it's super dangerous, but if you just leave it in a location, it's not moving, so it's easy to secure, contain, and protect. Ergo, the acronym. Then you move on to Euclid, which a lot of famous ones are Euclid, like the statue, which, by the way, because of a bunch of copyright, that was originally an art piece. 173 is the original SCP. That was an art piece made of rhubarb, and the guy apparently didn't know it was an SCP, and so he copyright struck it. So now there's a new design for that SCP. Not that it matters. Everyone's going to use the old design anyways, but like,
Safe face.
no one gives a shit. Well, we're going to use this the last design. It's the most recognizable. But uh, then so Euclid, what it is it's dangerous, and it can't breach. Like it can escape and cause damage, but if you follow proper protocols, it's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to be a problem. Just make sure it's under constant observation and surveillance. Keter is a little different than that. Keter, you're fucked. It's as simple as that. It's Keter class is oftentimes world ending. It's stuff that is almost near impossible to keep under containment. So what you want to do is, how do we remedy that? How do we make sure it doesn't wander into the public? So what you do is you just set up perimeters and make sure that you follow a specific set of guidelines to ensure that this thing doesn't get out. But oftentimes it's impossible to do that. So there's a bunch of different loopholes and workarounds. Then I'm going to mention Thaumiel, which kind of exists separately from the rest of the classes we'll be discussing. Thaumiel class is an object used for the benefit of the SCP Foundation. So, for instance, SCP-999, otherwise known as the Tickle Monster, is both safe and a Thaumiel because it's the friendliest SCP they have, and I'm going to talk about him later on. Now, he's Thaumiel because he's specifically used to benefit the SCP Foundation because he's so friendly. He's used for like psychological purposes to boost morale and stuff like that. So Thaumiel's
That's pretty clever.
yeah, like he's so nice and friendly. I might as well use him to like keep all the doctors happy. After that, we have Apollyon. The Apollyon class is If you thought Keter was like world-ending and bad and impossible to contain, this is stuff you can't avoid. This is a guarantee the world will end. It's just on a whim. Like for instance, if we want to bring it back to like Lovecraft and Cthulhu, if Cthulhu wakes up, it's over. But he isn't awake yet.
There's no buts about it.
You'll cross that bridge when you burn it. It's like if he wakes up, it's game over, man. But he's not awake yet, and so the story continues. Apollyon events or Apollyon level SCPs are these things will happen or have the possibility of happening, and if they do, that's it. You're not stopping it. And I feel like that's the scariest one because it's inevitable. There's a few other really esoteric actually, esoteric itself is a class, which is by its very nature, if you know etymology, the word itself, esoteric, means it doesn't make sense or it's hard to define. So I'm not going to try with that one.
I think it defines itself.
Yeah, you look up the word. So all of these in that order is essentially what we're working with here. So anytime we talk about an SCP, they have to follow a classification. Those are your classes. Do you have any SCPs to show to the class, Slug?
Trying to find one that's not too basic. I guess we could start with the Seed Eater.
God, I was hoping to build up to that one. But then again, I just name dropped the Scarlet King on a whim. So I guess we could talk about this one. Okay, where do you want to go with this?
Is it a creepypasta or is it an SCP?
This is what I was telling you about. It exists in that gray area where it's both. Early SCPs are essentially creepypastas before it really found its footing. First off, it's a fursuit.
It's a furry.
I don't know. The actual concept behind the fursuit itself is interesting. It's a zombie werewolf. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Did I look at it and be like, man, that's hot. That's sexy. No, I didn't. I'm going to be real with you. I didn't. But the internet's kind of ruined this entire SCP. It's ruined. It's runt. I mean, the story of there's an app that you download and it starts stalking you in all your photos and it gets closer and closer in each photo. It's cool.
Kind of hot.
It's a stalker GF. It's a stalker GF. I mean, it's
big titty werewolf chick.
No. I mean, yes, but no. I mean, yes, but no. The concept is not sexual in the slightest, but because of the internet, we can't discuss it and it not be.
I mean, you gotta be intrigued by the danger.
I told you this before. A big reason why, like, danger personally for me is like synonymous with excitement. So I like the idea of this SCP, but I'm like, I want to be scared. And I'm not scared by it because the internet has conditioned me to feel other ways about it.
I mean, you don't think I would be scared of orc chicks?
Yeah, but you'd also be excited nonetheless.
It's excited fear.
Yeah, it was honestly the best kind of fear. Because you want to see how it plays out. But, like, it doesn't kill you. Like, it doesn't kill you, it just stalks you. And then what? Just don't use your phone. What do you do when you don't use your phone?
And you know best.
I do? Oh, because I broke my phone?
No, because you never answer the phone.
Oh, yeah. That explains a lot. Okay, so here's an idea. What if you get rid of the phone, or do what I do and just never answer it? Or in this case, do what I did and threw it into a retention pond. And then buy a new phone that doesn't have the app. Would the app just supernaturally transfer itself to the other phone? These are questions I need answers to. I don't need to see the tits get bigger. I need to know the lore.
Okay, I will stay with the Android phones that have this virus. So that when you threw your Android phone in the water, you get an iPhone because you use the Apple Store instead of the Google Play Store. There's no record of you purchasing or downloading this application with Apple products.
The author did not consider this as a possibility.
The big brain over here.
I mean, it stands to reason that
That makes sense to me.
It makes sense to me, but at the same time, it's not in the story. So I'm like, people are just like, oh, I'm done. That's it. It's stalking me for the rest of my life. Don't look at your phone.
I'm not going to complain.
Me neither. Especially when if it looks like the way it does on DeviantArt, I would download the app right now. I'd curse myself. But that's not what it looks like in the actual story. But that's the Pocket, aka the Seed Eater, aka.
Oh no, it's the Pocket. The Seed Eater is the one, the pedophile.
Yeah, I was just gonna run with it. The Pocket was a.
That's a pretty good name for.
It's
the Pocket.
It was a creepypasta originally, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. To me that's lazy. Which leads me into my next one. The hard to kill reptile. Let me pull up the exact number here because I want to do this right. So SCP-682 is a Keter class. It's also known as the hard to destroy reptile. The original photo of it is a lobster.
That's so good.
It's just like a lobster. But they changed it now to be a different animal, which is just like an alligator or a crocodile with like rotted skin. If you read the original story for that one, it's not great. And it's fine, but it's back in that creepypasta era where random monster equals scary. Oh my god, they can't destroy it. First off, there are far worse threats that the SCP Foundation has in their own library, in their own facilities. Far worse than this creature. It's honestly pretty easy to contain. So why are they obsessed with destroying it?
They're just jealous,
man. I posit a theory. You ready?
Yeah.
I posit a theory. What if it's an info hazard?
Fucking, what is his name? Jones? What's his name? Fuck, Alex Jones. Here you go again.
You've already mentioned him. I'm telling you, tinfoil hat time. This is not in the original story, but I want to bolster it because I think it's so weak. Let me bring my own idea to make it stronger, okay? What if it's an info hazard because it convinces the SCP Foundation that it needs to be destroyed? What if it gains some like some satisfaction from pain?
Gratisfaction.
I don't know what the hell I was saying there. Words are an anomaly. But like, does it gain pleasure or some satisfaction from pain that's inflicted upon it? So it just convinces the Foundation that it needs to be destroyed. So it's constant.
You got a suicidal SCP.
Yeah, but it can't die. I mean, it literally can't be destroyed.
Kind of like Deadpool.
It's the Deadpool of SCPs, yeah. What do you think about that theory? What do you think? What do you think?
I don't know. Immortality is a bit complicated. You know what I'm saying?
No, I don't. I'm 23. I don't even understand my own mortality.
I don't know. The idea of living forever is like almost 80% thought of as a curse. So the idea of wanting desperately to die, even though that you know that it's inevitable, I would still try. I'd still try everything, even if it's a convoluted conspiracy theory, just for my own suicide.
Oh, I have to mention this. Were you familiar with the cartoon, the YouTube cartoon based around SCPs? There's a series made by this guy that kind of fell out of good graces with his audience. So what happened was around episode 6, 7, or 8. He didn't have many episodes of this SCP show. I just remember watching a few with my friends in high school. So it's been out for some years, and he took forever to release an episode. But the concept was there's a guy who can't die. and he's a D-class personnel, essentially just like a death row inmate for the audience, right? So there's a death row inmate who has nothing to live for, so they might as well be used as cannon fodder for the SCP Foundation. So this guy, he can't die, which is perfect for D-class personnel. So he's both an SCP and also a D-class at the same time. So he can't die. That's perfect for testing. Just throw him at an SCP and see what happens to him. That was the plot, and that's where a lot of the humor came from. Was the fact that this guy would be in situations where he's just constantly being tortured and killed for the pretty much for the amusement of the audience at home and for the educational purposes of the foundation. Uh, but again, embroiled in controversy because the creator just like gave up on the last episode he made. And this is like a few months ago. This is pretty recent in the community. Uh, he released an episode that was just porn. Like all the characters, like almost no story, no plot. He gave up and just decided to do, I guess, what he wanted to do the whole time. It just made the whole thing smut, like softcore smut.
That's fucking funny. I'm not mad about that.
We can watch it later. It's pretty funny because it started off as a serious attempt at doing a serialized, not serialized, but like I guess an episodic show set in the SCP universe, and just to like give up because he couldn't keep up with the schedule and demand that the show was giving him. He's like, I'm just gonna make porn, and then he pieced out and left the community, and he's gone. And then he took down all of his socials. He took the show off. Actually, I think he took the show off YouTube. You can still find it online, almost like Mark's project. What was that? Unis Honest?
Yeah, Unis Honest.
It's like, yeah, it's gone, but you can find it.
All right.
So I bring that up just because the whole concept of the hard to kill reptile trying to die, but it can't. But at least it doesn't have smut.
Something that has smut as well is the Plague Doctor.
Why?
I don't know. I think it's kind of hot too.
Why can't something just be sacred?
Big titty goth chick with a bird skull mask.
It's a guy.
Not to the internet.
I can't separate that. It's like Bowsette. Like, that's Bowser. That's Bowser under there. Don't be deceived. Go back to our conversation about traps.
Does that matter? Does that matter?
For me as a heterosexual male, yes, it does. If that's what you want to do, go for it, man. But that's not my vibe. I don't. That's Bowser under there.
It's Peach with horns, man.
I can get Peach with horns, but that's not. She looks. He looks like Peach with horns, but it's not. So yeah, the Plague Doctor again is old school, old time from the old days of the video game. He's fine.
Everybody has the disease, and he has the cure.
It's psychology, and the best SCPs have a motive, but not too much of a motive to where you really understand. Because like, where did he come from? Like, why does he think this way? What's his end goal other than just like curing everything? Who is this guy?
I think I read one somewhere. I don't know if it's accurate, but he believes he's still during the plague times. He's denying all of the facilities, like the futurism of it, and he's just like he's so caught up with the idea that everybody's dying, and I have the cure, and the cure for the plague is death.
He must have been losing it during COVID. Good thing he was on lockdown.
We all were.
All locked out during COVID. Oh yeah, but like,
how tight do you think security would be? Like, it's already like the most tightly secured facility, and then now you got to worry about a human disease that's spreading like wildfire. There's nobody in that building. It's all automized.
That's scary. That's a scary thought on its own. AI taking over the SCP.
How would you work from home as a SCP employee?
It'd just be Five Nights at Freddy's. You'd just be looking at the security monitor, pressing buttons.
Oh, and then if it gets out, it already knows where you are. For most of them.
A lot of them are just like omnipresent, omnipotent. They know everything.
God, I feel bad for the what did you say, Thalmer?
The thought that's Elder Scrolls.
Sorry.
I know you can never stop thinking about it. The Thaumiel class.
Like, imagine, like, for this particular object, it has the perception of seeing what's around it, and it sees that there's a jailbreak and everybody gets to leave, and he's like, I can't move. So even if the door was open, I couldn't get out.
That's not true for all of them.
I'm just saying for a particular example, I think that it's a very funny idea.
Like there's sentient SCPs that they can't move. You have to interact with it. Uh, Now there is one SCP that's just a normal chick who has a camera that takes pictures, and those pictures move almost like the newspapers from Harry Potter. But my thing is, she's not the SCP. The camera's the SCP, or is it every camera she touches turns into an instance of the SCP? It's really confusing. A lot of them, I'm like, it's not really that well written, to be honest with
Well,
you.
maybe it's both, man. Where it only activates when uh, the camera needs that particular, I guess, jolt of whatever magic we're using, Lovecraftian magic, where this entity interacts with this entity to make a different entity. But we don't know, like, what's so special with the camera or what's so special about the girl. Just once when this girl touches this camera, it does this thing.
See, I like the way you explain that because that's my favorite part about SCPs is the fact that they completely break all known laws. You can't explain it. Like you can try and understand certain things, like the Plague Doctor. I understand his motive. I understand what he's trying to achieve, but like where he came from, how he got to this point is a complete and unknown mystery. Then you got the hard to kill reptile or hard to destroy reptile. What is that? I don't know.
It's a reptile that can't be destroyed.
And that's it. That's all you got. Oh,
It's like the Dead Milkman song, "Big Lizard in My Backyard."
God's so
It's
good.
it's right there.
I wonder if there was inspiration.
Big lizard in my backyard. It's a
Uh,
big ass lizard in his
what
backyard.
else do you need? It's self-explanatory.
It's a undestroyable lizard. I mean, it's right. It's right there.
Another one that's I'm pretty sure is impossible to destroy is the Shy Guy 93.
Yeah.
Um, for the longest time, I saw that picture. I'm sure you saw it too. That picture of the hiker on the mountain, and way in the background, there's a dot, and everyone in the comments is just like 4 pixels. I'm like, what? I didn't get. I was familiar with SCPs, but like this image was circulating everywhere on places that had nothing to do with SCPs, almost like a shit post, like how people would post pictures of Smile Dog, and like, oh, now you're screwed. It's essentially they would this. There's this picture of if you see the Shy Guy. And I'm not talking about the one from Mario. If we're gonna bring it back to Mario, if you see the Shy Guy in a photograph or a video, or if he's referenced whatsoever, if you see that, he's got your name, dog. He's coming after you. Like he's booking it across the world, time and space. He will get to you. He doesn't care about limits or boundaries. He will find you, and he will definitely cross borders. I don't know how that would work, but he, especially in today's climate. So
He needs his passport checked. He's gonna
I
get
don't,
his bag searched.
I want to see that as a skit.
Like I think it would just be if you just straight faced did an animation with the shy guy going through customs, sitting on the plane, not killing anybody, just monotonous, just video footage of him going into the airport, going through going through baggage, going through customs, getting up the stairs, like he's just hopping up the stairs. This is played real straight, and
God, so funny.
and then he lands, and then he's just hopping, and then the guy comes into frame, and then it just does the thing from the video game where you hear then, and then it's the shy guy seeing the guy fall over. Like you don't see what he did. He just kind of it's from his perspective.
God, I want to see that so bad. That's so funny. Because think about it. If I'm here and I see a picture of him, but he's located in I don't know the Himalayas, He's gonna cross oceans to get to me. But
He's on the ship. What is it? The last voyage of the
the meter.
yeah, Shy Guy was on there. It wasn't Dracula.
I mean, honestly, he looks more like the Shy Guy that he does Dracula, just with wings.
I
Uh,
mean, I like the design of Dracula.
it's very bad. Like I dig it. I don't hate
Isn't
it.
it kind of like Dracula 2000?
Yeah, in a way.
Or I guess more so in the Skyrim way of Vampire Lord.
It's fine. Like, if we're gonna talk about this real quick, I wish they played it way more straight. It's got the guy who played Sir Davos from Game of Thrones. It's got the guy who played Heath from The Walking Dead's in there. It's got a good cast, but I kind of wish it's probably so great. I kind of wish the guy who Robert Eggers, the guy who's gonna do Nosferatu, I kind of wish he did this. I want to see a completely straight like adaptation of that sequence from the book. I don't want like really any humor. I want a very tense, very dramatic version of that story play out.
I kind of wanted, like I was telling Willow, I know it's not quite accurate to the book, but I would like the ending of the movie to be the guys opening, like from the original Dracula film, opening up the door, and it leads to the stairs with Fritz is just laughing, and that's the end of the movie.
What if they do it like the that Nicolas Cage Dracula movie where they
This is
just
a prequel to Renfield.
yes. Well, think about it. It would be this movie, then it would be Dracula, Bela Lugosi, and then go straight to Renfield. There you go. You got a trilogy right there. But what if you use an actual shot from Dracula for the final shot of the film? Just colorize it.
Mm, I don't know. I kind of feel like the same way how the director of Citizen Kane was like, "You're not gonna color this bitch."
I don't know. It feels bastardized already though because of movies like Renfield, which took clips from Dracula and just inserted Nicolas Cage into them. It's funny, but it's one of those untouchable things where like I don't care how much I love Nicolas Cage. I'm like, yeah, you shouldn't. Just
Willy's Wonderland.
that's the exception.
Was it Wally's Wonderland or Willy's?
Without looking up and doing proper research, I'm gonna say Willie.
Okay,
Tell me I'm wrong. You gonna tell me I'm wrong?
let's see.
Tell me I'm wrong.
What did you say?
I said Willie.
You were correct.
I kind of wish it was Wally. I'm finally right for the first time in my whole life. I'm like, I wish I was wrong. Um, there's a few more SCPs that are like I think tied back into the old days that like I feel nostalgic for it. For instance, Reagan getting cut up while speaking. Like in retrospect, it's not great.
No.
It's not good. It's very much a creepy pasta on the forum, but it's so nostalgic. I don't know why. Like when I first read it, I don't know if you felt the same way. Now you probably for different reasons, but like, I just thought it was funny. I thought it was funny.
I thought it was hilarious.
And I love it. It's so stupid. And like anytime I read an SCP, I have to realize, okay, when someone wrote this, they wrote it as its own individual thing. But anytime you contribute to the website, that's part of a larger universe now. Something you just created in your spare time while sitting on the shitter. Now that's part of the mythos. That's part of the lore and the legendarium.
You're dropping lore shits, man.
I did. I tried.
You're taking a lore dump on SCP right now.
I really tried. I told you the SCP I was trying to make.
Yep.
So when you sign up for SCP, what they don't tell you is it's probably easier to join the FBI or hell just to go through American customs than it is to just. It is easier to take an AK-47 through American customs than it is to get signed up for the SCP Foundation. Took me 2 weeks. 2 weeks of just constantly checking on it and seeing if my application got approved. It almost took as long as it took me to get the job as a security guard, minus a few months because that was ridiculous. But the whole application process was so rigorous. But I love that because that means
Shitheads aren't gonna be shit posting.
yes, there's a filter now in place where all the bad ideas are going to be filtered out. And my first idea was this hippie guy that flew around on a magical guitar. It was just like super chill. Like he just like hung out. They had a foundation member who would come out to this bar in like Topeka, Kansas. He's like that instead of like containing him. It's like they just send a guy out there once a week, some field agent, just go have a beer with him at some bar in Topeka. And I was like, that was the how the foundation would keep tabs on him. Just go have a beer with the guy. He was like super cool and he played in bands. It was like whatever. He got taken down.
Damn.
He got taken down. I did have another idea. I'm still trying to push, but I don't want to focus too much on SCPs that don't exist. Uh, to talk more about the Tickle Monster, my favorite aspect of the Tickle Monster isn't like, oh, he's the nicest, he's the most friendliest, he's so cute and cuddly. He's the fucking chosen one. Do you know this? Like, how much do you know anything
I don't
about the
know
Tickle
anything
Monster?
that he exists.
His expanded lore is insane. That he is the single most important character, other than like Dr. Bright. He's one of the most important characters in all of SCP lore. Do you want to know why?
He's Jesus,
Essentially,
the second coming of Christ.
kind of. Other than literally like Ditto, and he could literally turn into anything he wants. He's the son of the Scarlet King.
Fuck, man. Really?
He's the son of the one of the most powerful, like the single most powerful demonic entity in the entire mythos.
Does he have any other sons?
No, he's got daughters and a bunch of wives. But as far as I know, this is the. I'm sure someone else has a tale out there, but like as far as this story is concerned, he is his son, and he is destined at the end of time to defeat his father, like he's fucking Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader. The Tickle Monster. It's so you can't make this up.
He couldn't if he tried.
I couldn't write this. This
I'm
is
mad
art.
I didn't think of it. Of course the Tickle Monster would kill the Scarlet King. Why wouldn't he?
It just makes sense. You got the friendliest, nicest SCP going against the most evil. Now, the Scarlet King, I think, is kind of a riff off, even if just unintentionally. I think it's a riff on the Yellow King from Lovecraft.
Yeah.
But then also, I think it's a riff on the creepypasta of Zalgo. Zalgo isn't a character as much as he is the manifestation of corruption.
Right.
There's no personality. It's just there's no real malice or evil there. It's just a force of nature that corrupts. It's not a thinking thing. So there's like different variations on the Scarlet King where he is just the devil. He's just Satan. But
That seems like a cop out.
I don't like that one as much. I like the one where he's a force of nature. Like he's a concept that I don't know. What do you subscribe to? I know the answer is not satisfying once you're given it, but do you think there is an originator of the anomalies?
I think it's actually the SCP Foundation themselves.
Go ahead.
I really love the idea that there's an actual board of people that run the SCP Foundation, and the key to security is that only one board member knows something that the others don't, and so on and so forth. And it's all wrapped up entirely, and there's only one person who knows all the information, and he uses all the information to either use the SCPs for malicious intent, or use the knowledge to create SCPs.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's really good. I like that answer. There's also some theories that mankind itself, like Earth itself, is the anomaly. But here's my thing though. If like clearly anomalies are very much like a part of the world. So much so that can you even classify them as an anomaly? If they're so common at this point that there's an entire world government set up more powerful than any nation on earth with limitless resources and funding, they can just do whatever it wants to cover this up, is it an anomaly? It seems like stuff that doesn't fit in or follow any line of logic, that seems more normal than the abnormalities they're trying to subdue.
It's like the Barbie movie, man. It's a perfect movie.
SCP really should be a movie. I'm still waiting on the neo noir show. That's not. I just made that up. It should be a show like a neo noir like Twin Peaks X Files type show. Monster of the week, but some serialization sprinkled in throughout. It's ripe. It's ripe for investment. But
Why don't they do it?
because the Russians. It's always the damn Russians. Oil prices, Russians. Assassination attempt on Zelensky, Russians. Actually, that was a woman. That's a different issue altogether. But that on its own bothers me so much. The potential that SCPs have is completely untapped by the media. Like it should be bigger than it is. I really don't know why it's not. Especially with so many stories. Like you look at comic books, right? And we have 70, 80 years of history to make movies out of. SCP already with the millions of contributions that it's had to the site has more lore and history to it than like 80 years worth of comic books. You can make dozens of movies right now just based off what we have and TV shows.
I think there should be more creepypasta movies.
Yes, I don't know if we've talked about it on the show before, but it's like Channel Zero.
It was ripe to be so good, but it doesn't need to be stretched out. Honestly, each one of them can be their own, like a Tales from the Crypt story. That's like, just do it. Like, what's the problem? Why has it been so hard?
I have an answer for you. It maybe comes down to copyrights, I guess, because anyone can contribute to it, and because of that, it becomes significantly harder to get approval. I don't know.
Uh, uh, how do you copyright a creepypasta? Like, if you're not like pen pals who wrote it for a book, like, who owns the story of Jeff the Killer?
Well, it's like, first off, that guy's a sham.
Yeah,
Because, like, the original picture he used, he lied about it, said he made it,
right.
but it predates him by years. Years. So, he wrote the story, but he doesn't have a copyright on the picture. That's a bit more wishy-washy, but he wrote the story, but because he put it on the internet, does it belong to anybody? Because you've given it out freely.
Right.
Like, if you write for the SCP Foundation, that's on the wiki, which has a board of moderators. A shit ton of them, as I learned to find out. Uh, all over me like a bunch of ants anytime I made a decision. Which is good, because that's quality and assurance. I know that my next story will be better because they were all over me telling me how much my other story was shit. Now I know. Thank you, moderators. Thank you. This is why I'm a mod on my own subreddit. So I don't worry about oversight. Everyone knows that sucks.
That fucking Reddit is dead, man. We need to spice it up.
Oh yeah, yeah. Now that the show is back up and running, we'll be posting more on there. Um,
You got that.
that's all. Yeah, it's all me.
I don't. I don't use Reddit as much as you do.
I
I use Reddit, but not as much.
You know,
as you do.
I'm just gonna flood it. I'm just gonna flood it. Instead of sending you a meme personally, I will just flood it with memes or anything I find. Like boom, 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 and I'll make sure to update on there, say what we're gonna be doing, just in case you want to get your MMM news directly from Reddit.
Dude, that could be like a special thing we do for like a Patreon. People give M&M news episodes.
I don't think we talked about the Patreon in a long time. Like I've mentioned it, it's up. I don't want to push it, but like it exists, and there are pretty cool perks that I think are very fairly priced. And by the way, speaking of money, I guess I could say that we have T-shirts. We have official merchandise out. I think it's
It's a very grassroots right now. We don't have any like shop online. If you message us, we can ship it to you.
simple as that. Um, it's not a lot. I have currently 10 shirts made. I just got another 10, and if all 10 of these shirts sell, uh, then we have this other batch I'm gonna make, and hopefully I can have some shirts left over for me and Slug to wear. Like
That
the,
first batch, 2 of them were supposed to be for us.
yeah, but like so I gave them to somebody to go and shop around. So if any of them sell, that's great. But if they all sell, I am okay with not having a shirt at this current
Yeah,
moment.
finally bringing some money home.
Yep, you'll be seeing some of that very soon. But we already have a few shirts sold.
My first stint in the studios, Jack.
It's official. It's real. I don't want to overdo it. I'm not gonna be like pins and like blankets and
We're not kids.
no, we're not, and we're not like some of these the fucking urban spook guy. Made like by episode 2 of his analog horror show was already making like merchandise and T-shirts based off some of his work. I'm like, some people need to slow down. You just showed up to the scene, or like
I
pop.
want Walton File merch.
I think it's separated itself far enough from FNAF at this point. But like Poppy Playtime, God forbid, Gart and a Band, which by the way I'm ashamed to say I'm actually kind of a fan of. I dig it. I love how bad it is. I'm a fan. I can't wait for the fourth one to come out.
They're
But
already on 4.
yeah, I know they started after we started the podcast, and they already have four games going to come out.
Wow.
But it's like the first game can be played in less than 5 minutes. So what quantifies as a game these days is a bit all over the place. If you want to consider that a game, sure. But the Garten the Band store, they were pumping out merch. The Euphoric Brothers, they're pumping out merch. Like, you just released a 5 minute video game, and you're already trying to sell merch. Like, I don't want to do that. Like, oh,
You don't want to manifest it?
look, I'm not gonna. This isn't. We're not an industrial grindhouse, right? I'd like to
You're
be.
the capitalist.
I'm the capitalist. As you smoke, is that a cigar?
Yeah.
Okay, making sure. As you called me a capitalist pig, as you smoke your stogie.
Wearing polo shoes. I did not pay for, okay?
That's the best way to not support capitalism. Yeah, so I don't want to. I don't want to overdo it with the store. Is there any other SCPs you want to talk about?
There is. We could make a bigger episode.
We will a full episode.
We wanted to compact this with as much topics as we could.
Mm-hmm. It's just good to be back, and I apologize, guys, if I'm talking real fast or real loud. I'm just excited. Uh, yeah, we're definitely gonna have a full episode of just SCP later down the line. And next episode will be quite similar to what we talked about, minus Barbenheimer, but more horror themes, very modern topics, some of which I've already discussed already. Uh, but as I've stated previously, this first season is just get through what we're interested in, talk about why it appeals to us, and then further down the line, really dig deep and examine this stuff. But Slug, if you have any finer points,
Go see Barbie.
don't support the Russians. Bye bye.